Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Welcome to Arlington, Texas. This is Globe Life Park. This is the last game between these two ball clubs this season. They've been finished up on May 15th. This is the 7th game they have played. And this is the rubber match of this series. Beautiful park, and these fans drove a long way, 2,324 kilometers, to see the Jays, and hopefully they'll see a win here this afternoon.
We've seen a lot of fans from Canada. When you ask them how they got here, oh, we drove down. What a week to be able to come down here. And what they have seen, if they've seen the Blue Jays had a chance to win every game on this road trip, but it's been a struggle for them. This season, the bats really have been stuck in customs. Look at that road batting average, 221. Only the Yankees have a lower batting average on the road this season. They're hitting just 219, and they're being outscored by a lot of runs.
The Jays need to get those bats going, and there have been some signs that they're about ready to break out on the road on this road trip. Some guys have had some pretty good numbers. Let's take a look at the lineup for John Gibbons. He continues to juggle the leadoff spot. Kevin Pillar and Michael Saunders alternating, and Kevin Pillar has had a good run against the Rangers this season. 8 for 20 with 4 doubles. He's back in the top of the order. He did not start in the game yesterday. Justin Smoke has been red hot over his last 12 games, 15 for 33 with 6 extra base hits and a big home run in last night's game to get the Blue Jays within 1. Tulowitzki would follow that with a home run of his own to tie it up.
The lineup that Cesar Ramos will face. Derek Holland's going to be pushed back till tomorrow, so he's going to miss the Blue Jays. They really wear out that left hander. They get another one here, a 31-year-old making just his 12th career big league start. His home start in 2016 came right here in Texas versus the Yankees. That was a spot start for Cole Hamels. He's also had a couple of relief outings, including that one back in Toronto. He was a non-roster invitee to the Rangers camp this spring. Blue Jays have seen him before. They've seen him with the Angels, and they've seen him with the Rays, so they're very familiar with Cesar Ramos.
The Rangers have committed 18 errors this season, but they've turned 52 double plays. In the outfield, it is Ryan Ruiz Desmond and Nomar Mazara from left to right. The infield is a good one. Lots of range and good hands. Adrian Beltre at third. Elvis Andrus at short. Rougned Odor, the second baseman. Mitch Moreland is the first baseman. And Brian Holiday starts for the first time in this 3-game series.
Mitch Moreland is a very underrated first baseman. No errors this season. His career .995 fielding percentage at first base heading into this season. Ranks 4th all-time for active players.
First pitch is a strike on the inside corner to Kevin Pillar. Pillar has 11 doubles this season. Fouls it back quickly, 0-2.
Ramos is not a very hard thrower. He sinks the ball, throws a little bit of a curveball. Sinker slider type. He's been a reliever most of his career. Blue Jays saw him when he was with the Rays, and they have really worn him out.
Upstairs for a ball. It's 1-2. When you look at the numbers, Kevin Pillar is 2 for 5 against Ramos, and as Pat mentioned, he's normally a relief pitcher. That's right back to the mound, and Ramos flips to first, 1 down.
Well, let's take a little closer look at Cesar Ramos, the starter for the Texas Rangers this afternoon. Fastball about 47% of the time for Ramos. It's not very hard. He's got to locate it and mix his other pitches in, the slider, the changeup, and the curveball. For him, the fastball has been hit hard this year because he's been leaving it up in the strike zone. He's got to be able to get that down. His best pitch might be the curveball. They're hitting just 111 against that pitch this season.
This is Josh Donaldson. He goes after the first pitch. It's a grounder to second. 2 weak ground ball outs to start the game. 2 up, 2 down for Ramos.
Well, Jose Bautista knows all about Cesar Ramos. This was last May when he was a member of the Los Angeles Angels, Bautista right on top of the plate. That's what I mean about it. He just doesn't have that stuff that can throw it by you. So I think if you're Jose, get right on top of the plate, almost dare him to throw the ball inside and do some damage.
The home run by Bautista, one of just 2 home runs that Ramos gave up all season last year. Jose starting to show signs of coming out of it. He hit the ball hard 3 times last night, had a couple of doubles and lined out.
Yes, he did. Well, the best was probably that one to center field in the 9th inning. He stayed on that ball and really drove it the other way. He is right on that end line where the Blue Jays want him. Get on top of that plate. Let's see if you can yank some of those pitches. His strong point is to left field. So don't take away from your strength.
Off the end of the bat, Odor on the shortstop side of second. And Bautista is not tagged initially as Moreland stays with him. And Bautista could not make contact with the first base bag, so he is tagged out. 3 ground ball outs for Cesar Ramos. When we come back, Aaron Sanchez has been dealing on the road. He'll try to continue that today. Six to 5 to even the series at a game apiece. They are now 5 games over 500. Top of the order is a good hitter, Rougned Odor, the young second baseman. Over his last 16 games, he's got 25 hits, 11 extra base hits, and 7 RBIs for the second baseman. And right behind him, another hot hitter, Ian Desmond. He is now playing center field, and they moved him up in the order because he's swinging a hot bat. Over his last 9 games, hitting .342.
Aaron Sanchez is going to try and give the Blue Jays a winning road trip if he can win this afternoon. 7 starts this year, 3-1 with a .258 earned run average. Just his 19th career start, second versus the Rangers. He's held the opposition to 1 earned run or less in 5 of his 7 starts this season. He has been dynamite, and he says it's just the beginning. There's more of that to come.
He gets ahead of Odor with the first pitch strike. Odor has 14 multi-hit games. I mean, he is maybe one of the more prototypical leadoff hitters that we have in the American League.
He doesn't look like it because he's got a big bat. He stands right on top of the plate and he tries to yank everything out of the ballpark. He swings hard for a leadoff hitter. But look at all the extra base hits that you get from him.
Well, a 3-pitch strikeout, fastball, changeup, and curveball for Sanchez. First strikeout of the afternoon. Defensively, the Blue Jays have committed 20 errors. That's led to 13 unearned runs. Last night, a mix-up in the outfield led to a triple that cost the Blue Jays a run. Saunders Pilar back in center, Bautista in right. Donaldson, Tulowitzki, Barney starts at second. Justin Smoke playing great over at first, and Russell Martin for a second start in this series behind the plate.
And that mental mistake happened in center field, so Kevin Pillar back out there this afternoon, missing just 1 game, 1 start. He came in as a defensive replacement in last night's game. He gets the starts this afternoon. Ezekiel Carrera with a miscommunication with Michael Saunders in last night's game. Cost the Blue Jays a run.
Aaron Sanchez has thrown 5 straight strikes to start the game. He's pitching with a lot of confidence. 0-2 to Desmond. They get 6 straight. Back-to-back strikeouts to start the game for Aaron Sanchez, and he's pouring it in there right now.
Well, he's got great stuff when he locates, and I didn't think he was locating as well as he could in San Francisco, but he got by with his fastball. I asked him about his curveball. He said, my curveball's coming along. We'll talk about that as this game goes along. But today, at least through the first 2 batters, he looks like he is spot on with all of his pitches.
His delivery is really effective so far. This is the number 3 hitter, the rookie Nomar Mazara. There's the first ball thrown by Sanchez. Mazara batting .307 for the season. 4 homers, 3 doubles, and 12 driven in. Left field, this is going to get down, and Saunders cuts it off. Mazara will take a turn and stop it first. It's his 4th double of the season, a 2-out double.
You know, I was watching him hit, and I was watching the defense of the Blue Jays, and they are bunching the whole defense in the middle of the field, and that's a sign of a very good hitter. You can hit the ball all over the ballpark. Mazara slashed that ball to left field, and Michael Saunders has a great defensive play here, getting over, cutting off, and holding him to a single. But good young hitters, if you see the defense in the middle of the diamond, you know that he's a good hitter. He can hit it from foul line to foul line.
Adrian Beltre, the cleanup hitter, and third baseman, takes a first pitch strike. Beltre off to another solid start to his season. .275, 5 homers, and 25 driven in. Ball and a strike. Ground ball. Tulowitzki will flip to second for the force out. The inning is over. 2-out double. No damage. We'll go to the second. It's a scoreless game here in Arlington.
Was placed on the 15-day DL with tightness in his tricep. He says this goes back to over a week ago when the Blue Jays were hosting the Texas Rangers. He said he started to feel the tightness when he was warming up in the bullpen, and he hadn't really felt right since. Now, last Sunday when the Blue Jays were playing the Dodgers, there was a situation where we figured Cecil would be up warming, but he wasn't. Later in the game, he did start to warm, but that was his own choice to just get some work in. John Gibbons had already shut him down at that point, saying, take your paternity leave, get a little bit of rest, and come back. He told me he felt much better when he did come back, but last night after throwing a few warm-up pitches, it acted up again, and he felt it on just about every pitch he threw last night. Buck?
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. And obviously John Gibbons is not going to tip his hand as to whether or not Brett Cecil is available in the game. So he was not available, and by my take, he shouldn't have gotten up and thrown. He created a lot of controversy once he started to throw in that game. And
in that game back at Rogers Center, and everybody started questioning, well, why wasn't he in the game? But that was on him.
Edwin Encarnacion, 1 for 10 in this series, had a homer here Friday night.
Here's the thing that's been puzzling for me as I watch Edwin and look at some of his numbers. Through his first 19 games this year, he was hitting over 400 against left-handed pitching. His last 19 games, just 182. And they've been throwing him a lot of off-speed pitch, lefties. and keeping the ball away from him, just trying to pitch away from his power. And the defense suggests that he's going to pull the ball.
Well, they're throwing him a lot of soft stuff, so you would think he will pull the ball. And there's 3 infielders on the third base side of second.
We'll have to talk to Edwin to say, okay, how are you going to go against this? Are you going to try and shoot a ball to right field and maybe force them to throw the ball inside just a little bit more? Or are you going to continue to pound away against those outside pitches, trying to pull it?
That slow breaking ball just missed. It looked like it might have been a better pitch than the umpire thought. Dana Sonia, the veteran home plate umpire today. There's a shot down the left field line. That's a fair ball all the way into the corner. Encarnacion is headed for second, and he'll get there standing up with his 9th double of the season. Good start for the Jays here in the second. Justin Smoke has been red hot lately. He had the home run in last night's game, a 2-run shot in the 9th.
Well, it's pretty simple what you want to do with Justin Smoke. You got to crowd him, or you got to keep the ball up, because he's an excellent low ball hitter. The home run that he hit yesterday was a ball that was down and it was in, and you can see over his last 8 hits, this is since May the 7th, all his big hits have been under that horizontal line. So we have seen Texas try to crowd him, and they've tried to pitch him up in the strike zone. I think Edwin just answered my question, Buck. What do you think?
He's going to pull the ball.
He's going to pull the ball. He's going to stay on it and try and hit it through the shift.
Smoke over his last 12 games has 15 hits, including 6 extra base hits. His average at .314. Smoke tries to shoot that ball to right. It was down away from him. He stayed on it very effectively.
You know, there's nothing like coming in against your former team and doing some damage and trying to win some games against them. He's always been a great fielder, and he has shown that in this series. Now the hitting is starting to catch up, I think, to that glove, and he's going to get some playing time now with the Blue Jays. He's already come up with a lot of big hits for him.
1-2. Upstairs, that evens the count at 2-2. You saw Smoke's numbers with runners in scoring position. He's been very productive. Home run last night was his 3rd of the season. He's also had a pair of doubles in this series. He's 3 for 6 in the first 2 games of this series. Smoke started out his career with Texas here in 2010. He was the #1 pick of the Rangers, and then he was traded in 2010 to Seattle, part of that big Cliff Lee deal. They brought Cliff Lee here to the Rangers. Popped up right side. Long run for Odor. He's in foul territory and dropped the ball. He got a glove on it, but he was quickly running out of room as he was getting closer to that wall down there in foul territory, and he got a glove on it, but couldn't make a play. It'll be ruled no play.
He had a long way to go for this one, and really the only guy who could have made this play was the second baseman, Odor. Normally sure-handed, has to reach back over his shoulder to try and make that catch. He had a long way to go because he's playing pretty much up the middle against Smoke. And there he is, starting to get back into position. Justin Smoke has always been a guy who's hit a lot of home runs in few at bats. He hit 20 home runs. That's his career high in 2013 when he was a member of Seattle. Almost got to that last year in under 300 at bats. He had 18 last year for the Blue Jays.
Strike 3, and Smoke didn't like that call. Checking with Dan Iasonia, making sure it was on the corner, but it looked like it was just barely on the corner. It's a big strikeout for Ramos.
Look at that look from John Gibbons. I think that tells the whole story. Justin Smoke's got a pretty good eye, both left-handed and as a right-handed batter, and he thought this one was inside, and he was going to question it a little bit.
1 down, Troy Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki's hit a pair of home runs in this series. He also has had a double. 3 for 8 in the series. Game tying home run in the 9th as he and Smoke went back to back.
You see small hints and small signs that he's starting to come out of it, and with every hit, especially for a veteran, you get that confidence going, and then you have those extended hot streaks. The thing about Troy Tulowitzki is different than other shortstops. When he gets into hot streaks, he starts hitting home runs, doubles, RBIs, big base hits.
Ball fouled back into the seats.
It was a good swing. Fastball over the middle of the plate. He saw it out of his hand very quickly. Took a good swing at it.
Tulowitzki with 8 home runs, 1 behind Josh Donaldson for the team lead. Scoreless game, top of the 2nd. Edwin Encarnacion with the double started the inning. Breaking ball in the dirt. Blue Jays won 5-0 here on Friday night behind a brilliant performance from R.A. Dickey. And then they lost a tough one last night after tying it up 5-5 in the 9th. They lost on a walk-off home run by Drew Stubbs. One hopper to short. Encarnacion goes back to second, and Tulowitzki's retired.
You know, that walk-off theme that you just mentioned right there, that's getting really old for the Blue Jays, isn't it? First month and a half into the season. We were talking last night, 6 games now that the Blue Jays have lost in walk-off or game-ending plays this season. 6 of them.
6 different ways.
6 different ways. Last night was another one, a walk-off home run. We've also had a walk-off bases loaded walk on this road trip.
And a walk-off pass ball. We've had a base runner hit for the final out of a ball game. Interference called. The game ended on an interference double play. Michael Saunders goes after the first pitch. That's a base hit to right. And Encarnacion's going to come in. There won't be a throw as Mazzara was shaded over in the alley. And Michael Saunders continues to swing a hot bat here in Texas. He's now 5 for 10 in the series.
How about Michael Saunders versus left-handed pitching this year? He is hitting .314 coming into this at-bat, and he doesn't waste any time. He gets a pitch to his liking out over the plate and finds a hole on the right side. He started this road trip with a single to right field in San Francisco to score the Blue Jays' first run, and he does it here with the first run of this ball game.
Michael Saunders came into this game 9th in the American League in batting average at .325. Russell Martin. Russell's encouraged by some of the work he's done lately in the batting cage and during batting practice. He said, now I have a plan. Now I have an idea. I want to get up on the plate, try to shoot the ball to right center. Right now there's a gaping hole out there. If he can drive it over the second baseman's head, he can run for days.
And if it gets to the wall, that's going to be another run for the Blue Jays. I mean, whenever you play this game, it's a game of adjustments. You have to adjust to the pitchers. The pitchers are not going to constantly throw you the same way.
There's a base hit to left field. Saunders will take a turn and stop at second. So Russell Martin off to a good start to his day.
He just had to find the right bat. The first pitch he fouled off and broke his bat. No hits in that bat, so he goes to the bat rack, finds the right one, rips that ball off the end of the bat for a base hit. Save that bat, put it in a good spot.
Back-to-back 2-out hits, an RBI single for Saunders, a single for Russell Martin, and now the number 9 hitter, Darwin Barney. Darwin is 1 for 6 in this series. He started the opener and then came in as a pinch hitter in last night's game. He takes a first pitch strike. Darwin is 10 for 31 against lefty pitching. It's a .323 average. John Gibbons has used a platoon most recently with Goins and Barney at second.
And it has started to work for the Blue Jays. There are his numbers with runners in scoring position. Month of May, Darwin's hitting .348.
There's a drive into center. Desmond is back. He's there and makes the catch, but the Blue Jays break out on top. Michael Saunders with 2 outs drives a ball to right. Encarnacion had doubled to start the inning. He comes in to score the first run of the game. 1-0 Jays.
Dustin Antolin, and a lot of Blue Jay fans may not know much about him, and for good reason. He was drafted by the Blue Jays in 2008. He has spent his entire career grinding it out in the minor leagues. He found himself without a contract this offseason and came very close to quitting baseball. He had Tommy John surgery in 2010, had shoulder issues and a dead arm last year, and felt that no one was interested. Well, it was his girlfriend, in fact, that convinced him to keep playing baseball. He gave it another shot. The Blue Jays signed him, and then he had a chance to pitch for the Jays in Montreal in spring training. He said being in that atmosphere, a full house at the Big O, gave him that extra push to say, hey, you know what? I want to do this for a living. And he kept going. He pitched so well in Buffalo. The Blue Jays gave him a shot. He said he was completely shocked when he got the call last night that he was coming up. Buck?
Barry, that's a great story. And Gary Anderson, the manager of the Syracuse Chiefs, had the pleasure of calling the young man and telling him, hey, you're going to the big leagues for the first time.
Got here quick.
He didn't waste any time, did he?
Hey, they're always faster to come up to the big leagues than to go back down. And the moral of that story is never quit. If your dreams play in the big leagues or do whatever you need to, do it for as long as you can until somebody says you're not good enough. Because you never know. It changes from day to day.
Prince Fielder takes one down and in. It's 2 balls and a strike on Fielder, leading off the second. Finish up on Dustin Antolin. He's from Oahu, Hawaii. A little town in the center of Oahu called Milileani. He went to high school there, and he called his father last night, told him the great news. Now he's in the big leagues.
I was impressed with him when we saw him in Montreal.
Threw a lot of strikes.
Threw a lot of strikes, had good movement, throws hard. Good for him.
There's a strike call. So Antolin is up. Cecil is on the disabled list if you're just joining us, and they have another big power arm in the bullpen. Antolin is right-handed. Fielder take ball 4. It's a leadoff walk for the Rangers.
Make your renovation a cut above during the DIY Expert Sale, only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
Statue of the great Nolan Ryan outside this beautiful ballpark here in Texas. The Rangers will go on a road trip after this. We'll go to Oakland and Houston in a short 6-game road trip. Blue Jays will return home after this game for a 3-game homestand. Moreland fouls back the first pitch.
Had a chance to talk to Aaron Sanchez the other day while we were here in Texas, and I asked him about his curveball because he wasn't throwing that many in San Francisco. I asked him, I said, hey, how's the curveball doing? He says it's feeling good. I have to keep reminding myself to stay on top of the ball and throw the ball out in front of me. I get in trouble when I try to yank the ball and try and place it on the inside part of the plate. Like that.
There's the curveball, yep.
Like that, you could see his arm was very short, and it looked like he was trying to guide the ball into the inner half right there. He says, I got to stay on top. I've got to let go of the ball out in front. He's got one of the best curveballs that we have seen a Blue Jay young pitcher have. Now he just has to refine it just a little bit where he can throw it consistently.
And that last pitch was a great illustration of exactly what you're talking about. He really tried to guide it and aimed it, never got the extended hand out in front of him. 1-1 count to Moreland. Bounced in the dirt, gloved by Martin. He got a glove on it to keep it right there at home.
Blue Jays shifting around now as Donaldson, the third baseman, is going to shift over, and Tulowitzki and Barney now are going to stay in the familiar double play positions now. That's Josh Donaldson moving over into the hole against Morley. Blue Jays got burned a couple of times yesterday against the shift. One of the guys was standing at the plate in Moreland.
He broke his bat, and you can't guard against broken bat base hits. They guard against well hit balls, and that's how they set up the shift. But every once in a while, one of those little squibers or broken bats will dribble through that shift and frustrate pitchers.
I'll tell you,
make a good pitch, get a broken bat. You want an out.
You want an out, and that's scary for me if I'm the pitcher and I see that whole left side of the infield open like that.
Breaking ball, smoke at first, goes to Tulowitzki for one, back to first, not in time. Sanchez got over there in good order, made a nice stretch for the return throw from Tulowitzki, but Moreland beat it out at first.
We were talking yesterday in the opening about the starters, how athletic they are. Well, Aaron Sanchez, athleticism is going to be on display. He makes the pitch, now he hustles over there and tries to act like a first baseman to finish off that play, but it was just hit so softly the Blue Jays infield couldn't turn the double play.
Elvis Andrus, the shortstop, batting in the 7th spot again today. He goes after the first pitch. Darwin Barney will tag Moreland, throw to first in time, double play. Taylor made double play. The ground ball took Barney right into the base path, and he was able to tag Moreland and complete the double play.
enter the following code. It is MBJ1727. You do that, you earn My Blue Jays points simply for watching today's broadcast. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. Code must be entered by 11:59 tonight. Buck?
Make sure you log on and get your My Blue Jays code, as we're going to turn them over every day. This is Kevin Pillar, leadoff man. Kevin tapped back to the pitcher's mound his first time on. Ball and a strike to Pillar. Checking with the home plate umpire, saying that that's as low as his strike zone goes.
A lot of times hitters will ask if that was on the plate also. Was it low or was it on the plate? Which one did you call? A couple of identical pitches by Ramos. One was called a strike and one was called a ball. He looks like the kind of guy, doesn't he, Ramos, who likes to keep the ball away from right-handers and uses changeup, so you got to be able to hit the ball to right field against him.
Just like that, down and away, minimize the impact. When you think about Ramos, he did a nice job taking over in that final game at Rogers Center when Derek Holland got knocked out of the game early. That probably prompted them to make this move. He went 4 1/3, allowing just 3 hits to the Blue Jays in that relief stint. He threw 45 pitches. Really was economical over 4 1/3.
Derek Holland didn't have it working that day, did he?
He didn't miss too many bats.
Yeah, I think that's why they skipped him, and they're going to have him pitch tomorrow when they go to Oakland.
Pillar hits it to center. Desmond broke back. Now he's got a long run. He's not going to get there. Ian Desmond, a novice center fielder, got fooled by the big swing off Kevin Pillar, and it drops in front of him for a base hit here in the third.
He's been an infielder his whole life. They're going to put him in the outfield here, now into a very important position in center field. You can see about 2 or 3 steps he took back. That's where he's got to get some help from his corner outfielders who are going to tell him in on a pitch like that. I've played center field before, and those swings look like they drive the ball to left center field, and you're all geared up to try and make that catch, but it's off the end of the bat. Got to get some team help.
Josh Donaldson grounded out to second his first time up. Donaldson came into this series batting .400 against left-handed pitching. Josh is now 0 for 11 in this series. Showing bunt and pulls the bat back. Beltre was deep at third. Isn't it interesting? Donaldson had such a great series against the Giants and comes in here and can't buy a hit.
Can't find a hit. It looked like he was starting to come out of his little mini funk. But they have kept the ball down against him. They've kept the ball away from him. They've thrown him a lot of off-speed pitches.
That ball's down. It's 2 balls and a strike to Donaldson.
And they've, you know what else they've done? They've tried the quick pitch against him a lot with 2 outs or a runner in scoring position. Josh is a rhythm type of hitter, and he's got that high leg kick. By quick pitching him and slide stepping, they're trying to mess up his rhythm.
Fouls that ball off. It happened in the opener on Friday night. Martin Perez quick pitched him with a man at first, and balk. It was thought to be a balk by Donaldson, but the umpires didn't agree, and he struck out.
Josh has a very interesting swing. I love it. He gets his hands moving. He's got the high leg kick, and what pitchers try to do, they try to quick pitch him and mess up that timing.
Right there, he sensed he was going to be rushed, and he asked for time. Inside, Bautista is on deck. Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. Michael Saunders with the RBI single in the second.
I like how he's looking out over the plate now against Ramos. Hit one off the end of the bat his first time up. Blue Jays might try and start that runner here.
Not going. High fly ball to left. Brewer coming in, still coming in, and gets there and makes the catch. Donaldson flies out to left. Cesar Ramos, the starter for the Rangers, taking just his second start of the season. And when you look at him, he has made 11 career starts.
Yeah, this is number 12. And there are his numbers: 4.5 ERA, a whip that's very high. He's always been known as a strike thrower. But as a starter, he has had trouble getting the ball over the plate. He's also allowed 6 home runs in those 11 starts.
Now there's an argument going on with Dale Scott and Tim Leeper. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure what happened. But Leeper may have been thrown out of this game.
Normally, when you see first base coaches get thrown out, it has something to do with a move. I mean, he's hot. Leeper is really hot right now with the crew chief, Dale Scott. He saw something that maybe Ramos maybe balked or quick pitch. He was really upset on the quick pitch the other night when Donaldson, the one that we were just talking about. Now he's going to carry on his conversation with the home plate umpire.
Nana Sonia, the home plate umpire. And your point on Friday night was the Donaldson at bat. Martin Perez balked and he quick pitched, and Tim Leeper says all you got to do is interpret the rule book, and if you do that correctly, that would have been called a balk, and the umpires missed it. And so he saw the same type of thing with Donaldson again, and I'm sure that's what he's arguing. And you know what? Nana Sonia gave him his due. He let him voice his displeasure with the call. But I can imagine, and this is just speculation, that Tim Leeper said something to the effect was, that's the second time you've missed it in this series.
Let's take one more look. That is Eric Owens, the assistant hitting coach, is going to take over. Watch Leeper in the top of your screen to your right there. Say, what is happening here? And in between that play, as the play was made in left field, he got right in Dale Scott's face.
Dale Scott is the crew chief. So here is Jose Bautista batting with a man on and 1 out. There goes Pilar. He got a good jump throw from Holiday. Not in time. Stolen base number 3 for Kevin Pilar.
He's only been thrown out 1 time, and I love how Kevin Pilar goes into the base on stolen bases. Last year he got thrown out with a headfirst slide and got his hand off of the base and got so upset he said, I'm going to go feet first. This is one more time. Let's take a look at Tim Leeper getting his due with Dale Scott. He's going to let him know he's calm, and then he gets fired up.
Breaking ball in for a strike.
But Pilar, that aggressive slide, that stand-up slide, you don't see that anymore from guys, do you?
Most guys go in head first, but by using that straight leg slide, you really use that base as a backstop.
And you don't come off of it like we've seen players when they slide over the base, and they come off the base, can disengage, and then get tagged out. He goes feet first, stand up, and he keeps his feet right on the base.
Kevin Pilar does a lot of things right. Plays the game the right way.
Fundamentally sound. As sound a ball player fundamentally as there is on the Blue Jays.
Bautista with an 0-2 count. Slow breaking ball outside. We mentioned Jose. Last night was his 1,000th career game as a Blue Jay, and we hit the ball hard 3 times. Had a couple of doubles lined off the glove of Beltre at third.
Could have been a hit, except for a great play by the shortstop. And he doubled to center off of Tollison, and then doubled to left off of Barnett.
Popped up over near the seats. Beltre right near the Blue Jays dugout, but that's back out of play. Josh Donaldson, they have used that quick pitch very effectively against him, and everybody knows he likes the leg kick. He has a timing mechanism utilizing that leg kick, and pitchers are aware of disrupting that.
It's getting around, and they'll use it for Josh. They'll use it on Jose Bautista because he's got the leg kick, and Tulowitzki, he's got a lot of movement. Believe me, the Blue Jays have made the umpire crew aware of that they know that, and they've asked them to take a look at that in this series.
Bautista strikes out and continue to throw that off-speed pitch away.
Second strikeout of the afternoon for Cesar Ramos. Elevates that slider. Tries the back door on Jose, and he gets a swing and a miss.
2 down now. Pilar's at second for Edwin Encarnacion. Edwin had a leadoff double in the second and came around to score on the Saunders RBI single. Slow breaking ball for a strike. Edwin has 28 RBIs. That's good for a 5th place tie in the American League.
He has absolutely worn out the Rangers over his last 13 games. Real surprised if they're going to pitch to him here. He has hit 8 home runs in his last 13 games against the Texas Rangers.
His home run on Friday night here was his 3rd straight game against Texas with a home run. See the pattern away. They're reluctant to throw anything inside.
The only time you'll see a ball inside is a mistake. I don't think they're going to pitch into his power. You can see Edwin getting a little bit closer to the plate too.
Perfect pitch down and away. Is it hard for a hitter like Encarnacion? You see John Gibbons giving it to Dan Iassogna, the home plate umpire. But is it hard for a pull hitter to make adjustments and hit the ball the other way?
Maybe a pull hitter, but Edwin's a good hitter. We've seen him go to right field many times over the years.
He strikes out, so Ramos back-to-back strikeouts of Bautista and Encarnacion. That ends the top half of the 3rd. And the Blue Jays haven't been pleased with the umpiring crew so far today.
We're providing fans the opportunity to win a trip to the Stanley Cup Finals, giving away a pair of tickets including flights and accommodation. All you have to do is watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. The more you watch, the more chances you have to win to capture the cup with Sportsnet. And we are down to the Final Four in the NHL now, Buck, so it won't be long before someone does in fact capture the cup.
It'll be a great opportunity to see the Stanley Cup Final in person. So there's a lot of fans that want to make sure you submit your entry. Blue Jays with a 1-0 lead as the Rangers are set to bat here in the bottom of the third. It'll be 8, 9, and 1 in the Texas lineup. Brian Rua, the left fielder.
Rua's a valuable guy. He was playing some left field in last night's game, and then when they pinch hit for Mitch Moreland, he was able to come in and play first base. And didn't that move work out for the Texas Rangers?
Drew Stubbs stayed in the game and hit a game-winning home run.
His 5th extra inning home run in his career.
Sanchez 3 straight balls to the number 8 hitter.
Aaron was saying the other day, he said that game that I pitched in San Francisco was my funnest game I've ever been in since high school. And I said, why is that? He said, I got the hit. I got the hit in that ball game. Seemed like the game was flying right along. You looked right up and it was the 7th inning already.
What did he say about wanting to pitch well?
Well, he said he wanted to pitch well. And he wanted to pitch well because he wanted to keep hitting. He didn't want to get knocked out early in that game because he wanted to keep hitting. He also said because he hit, he saw how hard it is to hit. And he said, you know what? I'm putting too much pressure on myself as a pitcher trying to be too fine. I understand how hard it is to hit right now.
Second walk of the game issued by Sanchez.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
We are in Arlington, Texas, where the Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. Mark Martinez along with Pat Tabler wrapping up this 6-game road trip. Number 8 hitter walks to start the inning. Brian Holiday starting for the first time in this series behind the plate. There goes the runner. Martin's throw to second is past Barney. Tulowitzki there to back it up, and Rua picks up his 2nd stolen base of the season. No hesitation at all. Looked like a straight steal.
Yeah, he was 2 for 2 now in stolen bases. He got a huge lead over at first base, and he was banging on Aaron Sanchez not to look at him. One look, and as soon as Aaron raised his head, Rua took off, and really no chance for Russell Martin to throw him out.
When teams prepare for a certain pitcher, first of all, they look at his stuff and say, okay, he's got great stuff. He's off to a great start on the road. He's 3-0 with an ERA under 1. Then they'll look for chinks in the armor, what they can do to maybe gain an advantage. Bunted third base. Donaldson will glove it and throw to first. Perfect sacrifice by Brian Holiday, the catcher. 1 out, man at third. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Manny Machado is off to a great start and entered this ball game today batting .338. He's all over the offensive leaderboards in home runs, total bases. He's just gotten off to a great start. That's the 11th home run of the season, and now he's playing shortstop, his natural position.
Did we say he can field too? He's having a great year.
Infield is drawn in for Rougned Odor. He goes after that first pitch.
Keep an eye on that runner at third base. He will tip off what he's going to do, if he's going to make the ball go through on the ground or if they're going to try and steal a run here and play the contact play.
Strike 2. Now that'll happen with a runner at third in a situation like this, where a coach on the bench will keep his eye on the runner, because obviously the defenders on the field, they have to watch the ball and the batter. But if there's a pitch where he reacts to the swing, then that coach can tell him, hey, they're going.
Wow. That is a pitch that is coming for Aaron Sanchez. And
Dan Iasonia is keeping an eye on Sanchez, and Gibbons has given it to him, and now Iasonia has to be blocked off by Sanchez.
And Russell Martin getting in there. Somebody yelled something after that pitch was called a ball, and you knew it was just a matter of time before John Gibbons got the heave-ho.
Tim Leeper was ejected earlier, and Gibbons has been upset with the umpiring all day long. Dan Iasonia has ejected him from this game.
The argument that Gibby's putting up right here is you're calling that pitch a strike for me. And I don't care if you call it a strike, but let's be consistent. So when my guy throws the ball there, and it appeared that Aaron Sanchez did to Odor, he didn't get the call. And that's what's upsetting John Gibbons and the Blue Jays right now.
Dale Scott, the crew chief, threw out Tim Leeper after a Donaldson fly ball in the 3rd inning. And now Gibbons, who has been questioning the strike zone all afternoon, is finally ejected.
Aaron Sanchez has so much comeback on his fastball. And that was right there. And I think it was Aaron who yelled something. And the home plate umpire took his mask off and was staring at him. He's an excitable kid. He made a good pitch. He wants to call.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Man at 3rd. Curveball fouled off. We have talked about this before, that umpires don't see teams frequently enough now that they're under one umbrella. Years ago, when there was American League umpires and National League umpires, umpires would be familiar with the pitchers that start for the teams. They would know their stuff. They would know how the ball moves. That's not the case anymore. They might see a guy maybe once a year. There's a strikeout and a big one. Martin tags Odor as that ball was in the dirt, and now there's 2 outs.
Got him last time with the curveball, and he goes right back to it right there. He's got a great curveball. Watch the release point out in front, and he snaps it off for a big strikeout. Aaron would tell me, he says, I get excited. I've got to dial it back sometimes and get back into the moment. I get a little excited out there, and it's tough. It's tough to come back down and just relax. He's got to do that.
Ian Desmond goes after that first pitch. Well, I tell you what, it's hard for a starter, especially a young starter, when you play only once every 5 days, to control your emotions. You're waiting around, a lot of pent-up energy, and you get out there and you make a start, and then you make a couple good pitches, you don't get the call. It's all going to come to a head.
Plus, Aaron's the kind of guy who does it for his team.
That's a base hit down the right side. Brew is in to score. Desmond is making the turn around second. Barney's throw to third is high and late, and he came off the bag. Out. Desmond overslid the bag. Donaldson kept the glove on him. He is called out, but he drives in the game-tying run with a double down the right field corner. Now the umpire, that's the 3rd base umpire, Lance Barrett, talking to DeMarlo Hale, who is now in charge. After the ejection, Bautista made a strong throw to Barney, who threw to Donaldson. Watch Desmond. He loses contact, and Donaldson keeps the glove on him.
team shop for your Toronto Blue Jays. A new authentic jersey with 40th season sleeve patch now available. Get yours today at jshop.ca. Buck, it looks as though a lot of folks here in Texas have gone to Jay's shop to pick up some gear.
They should have, Barry, and if the Blue Jays continue to lose managers and coaches, they might have to ask one of these guys to come down on the field.
And help out just a little bit.
Tim Leeper's been ejected, as has John Gibbons, the manager. It's a 1-1 game. Ian Desmond with the RBI double. He was thrown out trying to advance to third. Justin Smoke. Smoke called out on strikes. His first time up. That's what started the bantering back and forth between the home plate umpire and the Blue Jays dugout. Lined into left. Justin Smoke is on fire. That's his 4th hit in this 3-game series.
He has worn out the Texas Rangers this year. Smokey came into this game 10 for 22 with 3 homers, 6 RBIs, a .455 batting average, and he's going to add to it with that single.
Had a walk-off home run in Toronto, and he had a game-tying home run and a game-winning home run in the same game. And this is a beautiful swing from the right side.
Sounded like he might have broke his bat, but he finds the hole. Stay hot.
Troy Tulowitzki grounded out to short in the 2nd. Ground ball to the right side. Odor's not going to make a play on it. Smoke stops at second. Tulowitzki hit one right off the end of the bat, seeing I base it into right.
You know, Ramos likes to turn the ball over, turn the fastball over, so it goes down and away to right-handers. You have to be patient enough and try and hit that hole to the right side. They were playing him to pull once again, and there was a mammoth hole on the right side of the infield. You don't have to hit it hard to get a base hit. Ramos takes the ball, spins it. Tulowitzki hits it to right field.
See, Tulowitzki talking to Ramos. They were roommates in college at Long Beach State. So Ramos probably hollered out, "Hit it like a man."
And what does he say? "I hit it as hard as you threw it."
Michael Saunders with an RBI single his first time up. Breaking ball for a strike. How about that room in Long Beach State? Cesar Ramos, Troy Tulowitzki, and Evan Longoria were all roommates.
All big leaguers.
You think there was some baseball talks that night?
I think so. It's an interesting defense. Texas thinks that Michael Saunders is going to bunt. They've got the corners in. There's no way he's bunting.
Now, this ball is popped into the seats behind the Blue Jays dugout. Now, Blue Jays don't bunt much to begin with, and Michael's certainly not going to bunt. He's singled already this afternoon.
Why would you take the bat out of his hands? He's hitting over 300 versus left-handed pitching.
He's 5 for 10 in this series. He's had a great road trip. 6 for 11 in San Francisco. Breaking ball, he hangs in there and fouls it off. 1-1 ball game. The Blue Jays have 6 hits. The Rangers just 2. Saunders drove in the run for the Blue Jays. Ian Desmond drove in the Ranger run. Breaking ball popped up. This again behind the Blue Jays dugout.
This is all for the Blue Jays' benefit, if you ask me. Ramos keeps throwing that ball in there. Blue Jays keep fouling it off. Have long extended innings. Told you he's making a spot start just for the 2nd time this year. He's normally a reliever. He might be stretched out to what? Maybe 80 pitches, maybe 70, 75, 80 pitches.
He threw 43 against the Blue Jays in that relief outing, 4 1/3 at Rogers Center.
So if you're at Toronto, work this guy over and get into that bullpen as quickly as possible. That has been the Achilles heel for the Texas Rangers so far this year.
Blue Jays have hit 4 home runs off of the relief pitchers here in this series. Saunders hits it into center field. Desmond's on the run. He's going to get there and makes the catch. 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Boy, that has been quite a back and forth affair at Fenway Park between the Red Sox and the Astros. They played extra innings yesterday, and starting pitchers for Boston have been getting cuffed around pretty frequently.
That's been a great series. David Ortiz had a huge day yesterday.
Double, triple, and a home run, and a walk-off double for Ortiz. Russell Martin had a base hit his first time up. Driven to left. Rua is back. He's got room. He'll make the catch, and base runners hold their ground.
And there you can see small things in Russell Martin's swing. He just missed that. Just missed hitting his first home run of the season. He saw it all the way. The previous pitch, how he took the pitch, how he stayed back and kept his hands back, tells you that he's ready to bust out. Just be a little bit more patient, Russell. Everything's going to be okay.
2 outs now. The Blue Jays got back-to-back singles to start the inning. Darwin Barney flied out to center. Barney starting in place of Ryan Goins. Barney started both games in this series against the left-handed starters.
Blue Jays need to take advantage of these runners on base. They had a leadoff single, then a stolen base last inning from Pilar, and he was stranded. 2 hits to open up this inning. They need another one.
Blue Jays have left 3 on so far. Got a couple aboard now.
227 runners in scoring position this year for the Blue Jays.
Inside, it's 2 balls and a strike to Darwin Barney, trying to cash in here in the 4th. It's a 1-1 game. DeMarlo Hale, he's in charge. Manager John Gibbons has been ejected. So has the first base coach, Tim Leeper. Ground ball, but Odor is positioned perfectly. He goes to the bag, and the inning is over. Blue Jays leave 2 more base runners on. Through 4 innings, they have stranded 5 in this 1-1 game.
Tonight, you can begin by watching the Western Conference Final. Game 1, Sharks and Blues. It'll be on 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific on CBC. Buck?
Nothing like the Stanley Cup playoffs, and great action, and you can see it all tonight. 1-1 ball game. We move to the bottom of the 4th. 3, 4, and 5 in the Rangers order due up. Omar Mazara will start things off. He's singled off of Sanchez, his first time up. Mazara was moved into the 3rd spot in the batting order on Wednesday in the final game against the Chicago White Sox. And he got a visit from the captain, if you will, Adrian Beltre. After they put his name in that 3rd spot, he said, "Hey, just be yourself."
That was normally reserved for Beltre because he was the 3. And what Bannister did, Jeff Bannister, the manager of the Texas Rangers, they just inserted Mazara in the 3rd, pushed everybody else down, and it's a special place to hit with the Texas Rangers.
Make your renovation a cut above during the DIY Expert Sale, only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
One ball game in the 4th. 1 out after the Mazara strikeout. 4 strikeouts now for Sanchez. This is Adrian Beltre. Beltre does something that not many people do. Edwin Encarnacion does the same thing. On check swings, they point to the first base umpire. Ask him.
I know better, right? That's great. I don't believe I've ever seen a hitter point down there and the guy call a strike. So he must know, right?
Popped up. That's headed toward the seat. Beltre went down to a knee on that swing, and he puts everything into his swings.
That's another thing that he does when he gets one of those hanging breaking balls on the inside part of the plate. He swings hard, and watch him go down to one knee to finish it. He loves playing this game.
This is popped up. Smoke won't have a chance as it's into the seats, out of play.
And you need a new bat now after hitting that one off the end of the bat.
Beltre turned 37 in April. He was rewarded with a contract extension. And he's been a terrific player. He came to the major leagues as a 19-year-old with the Dodgers in 1998.
He hit 48 home runs one year.
2004. His free agent year with the Dodgers, and he parlayed that into a great contract with the Mariners.
And that is a tough ballpark to hit that many home runs in, Dodger Stadium. And I believe that is a season record for third baseman. I think he tied the great Mike Schmidt for most home runs in a season by a third baseman. 48.
Beltre led the American League with 49 doubles, playing his 1 year in Boston in 2010. A ball and 2 strikes to the Rangers' third baseman. Another wild swing, and he fouls it off.
Hey, all you need to know about Adrian Beltre was in the playoffs last year. Remember, he had the injury. We saw him with the thumb injury on his right hand as he fouls this ball off his calf. But he was out there playing.
Well, you remember, too, in Game 1, he hurt his back. He could barely run and stayed in there as long as he could. But he had thumb surgery, and the back is better. And he's battling against Aaron Sanchez. Beltre has played 19 years. For his career, he's a .285 hitter coming into this game. He has 418 career home runs. This is his sixth season with the Texas Rangers. He played 7 years with the Dodgers. Drives this one to right, but Bautista is there, and Beltre's retired.
You know, he's got the kind of body also that he's going to be able to play till he's 40 years old and not really slow down. You can see he's slim, he's trim, his reactions are still good, his feet and his hands still work very well. At 37 years old, he'll play until 40. And now you're starting to talk about Hall of Fame type of numbers.
Yep, you sure are. He can certainly be considered for the Hall of Fame, giving his success over a long haul. Prince Fielder walked his only time up today. Sanchez gets ahead of him. Rangers have just 2 hits. Mazara had a 2-out single in the first, and Ian Desmond a 2-out double in third.
I think you have to crowd Prince. You got to keep the ball inside against him. Pitchers have been doing that this year. Here's a good pitch.
Boy, that was a very patient delivery on that curveball. No urgency, no rush. Didn't try to overthrow it, and it was a beauty.
Threw it out in front, too. Got on top of it, threw it out in front.
Came right back with it for the strikeout. 5 strikeouts for Aaron Sanchez as he retires the Rangers in order in the 4th. We'll go to the 5th. Now time for a Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn from the Samsung broadcast studio.
Wednesday. It is when we have the Jays Care broadcast auction presented by TD. It'll happen during the broadcast of the Blue Jays Tampa Bay Rays game on May the 18th. We'll have 12 unique Blue Jays experiences and packages up for bids. Go to bluejays.com/broadcast auction. You'll see a list of all the prizes available. The funds will all go to help Jays Care go beyond the ballpark for 62,000 children and youth across Canada in 2016. Buck?
Great job, Barry Davis, as the Blue Jays will celebrate that great auction on Wednesday night, hosted by Ivanka Osmak, who does such a terrific job with it.
And if you're a baseball fan, you'll surely be able to find something there to your pleasure. Enjoy it. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the auction.
It's all for such a good cause, as the Blue Jays Care Foundation does a terrific job helping out kids across Canada. Kevin Pillar singled his last time up, stole base. Big slow curveball around the outside corner. Pillar did not start in the game yesterday as he had upper body soreness, according to the official statement, and he'd been dealing with a sore chest as he dove last Saturday at Rogers Center on the turf, making a terrific diving catch off the bat of Carl Crawford.
And for him to come out of the lineup, you knew that he was hurt. I ran into him today in the lobby in the hotel. I asked him how he was. He said he was fine. Good to see him back in that lineup.
Pillar and Saunders have been going back and forth, according to the starting pitcher in the leadoff spot. Saunders is flourishing no matter where he's hit lately. There's another base hit for Pilar. Hustling around first. They bobble a ball in left. He's taking a shot. There's the throw, and it gets past Odor. Boy, good job by Pilar. He hustled out of the box as if that was going to be a double, and then when Rua missed it, he didn't waste any time, didn't miss a step.
You know, he kept his head up and he kept watching the baseball. And when he came out of the batter's box, he didn't loaf down the first base line. I was watching him the whole way. He was sprinting out of the line, and he looked up and he saw that bobble right there and said, I'm going to take a shot at Rua. And with his speed, it's got to be a perfect throw to get him. Aggressive slide into second base, and just like that, the Blue Jays have the leadoff runner on once again.
12th double of the season for Pilar. Josh Donaldson started his swing, tried to check, and went all the way around.
That is 3 straight innings the Blue Jays have had the leadoff runner on base. Now they've got to figure out a way to bring some of these runners around. Yeah, check that. That's 4 straight innings. They've got the leadoff batter on third with the runner at second base and nobody out.
Josh Donaldson with the ball on a strike. Donaldson was at bat and completed his at bat with a fly ball to left when Tim Leeper began an argument with the first base umpire, Dale Scott, and was subsequently ejected. Leeper apparently arguing that the pitcher did not come to a full stop with the runner on base. And as Pat mentioned earlier, we have seen that quite a bit with Donaldson, Bautista, and Tulowitzki, who all have a high exaggerated leg kick and use that as a timing mechanism, and pitchers are trying to counteract that.
2 outs or with runners in scoring position. Another way they can counteract that is throw slow curveballs, and we've seen Ramos throw a couple of them here to Donaldson this at bat.
3-1 now to Donaldson. Bautista waits on deck. Blue Jays have 7 hits, but they haven't been able to cash in with their runners on base. They've stranded 5 so far in this ballgame. Donaldson shoots it down the right side. That's going to slice into the seats. Eric Owens is coaching. You notice his number 60 on the back of his jersey, but he's wearing number 34. That's Tim Leeper's helmet. Still out at first base.
Like he never left. Leap still out there. Got his helmet on.
Well, we talked to Leeper after the Friday game when they did the same thing to Donaldson. He was very upset that they didn't call LeBlanc. 3-2 to Donaldson. He loses the bat and it goes right in the dugout. And he strikes out.
And another very slow curveball. That is to combat all the movement, the high leg kick, to try and throw off of Josh's timing. He swung at the first one, wasn't real sure, and now this last one more time he loses the bat. And into the dugout it bounces. 1 down.
The bat might have ricocheted off Saunders, but he appears to be okay. They had him scrambling in the dugout. Doug Brocail, the pitching coach, out to talk to Ramos about this at bat. It's a curious time. Andrew Faulkner, the lefty, loosening up behind Ramos. Remember, Ramos is a reliever. This is just his 2nd start of the season.
They are carrying 8 relievers for that reason. 8 relievers, just 3 bench players for the Rangers. 3 left-handers down in that bullpen, 5 right-handers, so they're well stocked in case Ramos has to leave early.
Ramos has thrown 83 pitches, so he's getting near the end. Bautista has grounded out the second and struck out. Looks like he's just going to feed Bautista a steady diet of breaking balls.
Something off speed. It's the same type of swing with the high leg kick and movement, and he can turn on anybody's fastball. So you try and take the sting out of the bat by changing speeds and throwing something off speed. And another one.
Yeah.
67 miles an hour.
This might be his last batter. Just to get a fresh arm in there for Encarnacion. 1 out. We're in the 5th. It's a 1-1 game. He's not giving him much to hit at all.
That might have been the message from the pitching coach.
He's got to be near the end. He's thrown 87 pitches now. The most he's thrown all season long, 96. Bautista takes ball 4. And that was semi-intentional, if you ask me. So they put Bautista on. That sets up a double play. Let's check in with Barry Davis. One out. First and second. Edwin Encarnacion. Edwin doubled and scored the first Blue Jay run back in the second. Blue Jays got their run in the second. The Rangers scored their run in the bottom of the third. Staying away from Encarnacion. They've done that consistently all afternoon.
Wouldn't you? I would. I'd try to stay away from it. He's got to cross him up. That if he does throw a ball on the outside part of the plate, shoot a ball up the gap in right center field.
Pulls this one off the screen in front of the Blue Jays dugout. One count to Encarnacion. 1 out. Blue Jays trying to cash in. They have stranded 5 base runners so far. They've got 2 more on base here in the 5th.
I tell you, they have really made him work. After that first inning where he went 1, 2, 3 in the first inning, 3 weak ground ball outs. The Blue Jays have had base runners on every inning. They've put him in the stretch. They've made him work, and I'm with you. This might be his final batter of the afternoon.
Falling behind once again to Encarnacion. It's 2 balls and a strike. Off speed pitch. He's out in front and taps it foul. Edwin has 2 hits in this series. Hit a home run on Friday. He doubled in his first at bat this afternoon. He's 2 for 12 against the Rangers in the 3 games.
He's driven in 21 runs in his last 13 versus the Rangers. Come up with some huge hits against Texas, and they could use one right now.
There go the runners, and it's a breaking ball. They go to second, not in time as Bautista steals second on the back end of that double steal.
I was wondering when they were going to do that, because they kept throwing him soft stuff and softer and softer. And why not try and move those runners up? Get out of the double play. Pilar leads it off. He takes off right away from second base, steals it without a throw. Bautista catches on, and Jose will pick up his first stolen base of the season.
So the infield, they're going to play it back. They were initially in on the grass. Now they're backed up to normal depth. Breaking ball. Encarnacion takes ball 4. Back-to-back walks. Justin Smoke, a switch hitter, and the manager, Jeff Bannister, has made his way out of the Ranger dugout. He makes the call to the bullpen. So the Blue Jays have the bases loaded, and they are looking for a big hit, and they got the right man coming to the plate. Cesar Ramos does a pretty good job dodging trouble. He'll hand it off to the bullpen. Andrew Faulkner, the lefty, will come in. He'll be dealing with Justin Smoak, who has 4 hits in this series, including a home run last night.
Profile guests. Catch them weeknights on the Sportsnet from 5 to 7 Eastern, and you can also see them at Jurassic Park all through the Raptors playoff run. Raptors, by the way, Buck, winning today in Game 7 over the Heat.
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. Tim and Sid weeknights at 5. Make sure you check that out. We got a pivotal point of this ball game right now. Bases loaded, just 1 out for the Blue Jays, and Andrew Faulkner, who pitched on Friday night, 2/3 of the inning, is in to face Justin Smoak.
Faulkner made the opening day roster for the Texas Rangers, but then was sent out on April the 14th after he gave up 3 home runs in 5 games. Left-hander, as you mentioned, we saw him here on Friday, gave up a couple of base runners in his 2/3 of an inning.
Smoak goes after the first pitch and fouls it over the screen. Inflated numbers for Andrew Faulkner, as Pat mentioned. Blue Jays need a big hit. Outside, a ball and a strike.
Well, you can tell Smokey's seeing the ball. He struck out his first time up on a borderline pitch that he thought was inside. Then he singled his last time up, and then takes a tough pitch on the outside part of the plate right there for a ball.
Ground ball. Odor goes to second. Andrews back to first. Double play. Faulkner comes out of the bullpen and gets a ground ball double play to end the inning, and the Blue Jays just can't come up with a big hit.
18 Honda Super Camps across Canada. Learn techniques from former Blue Jays such as Roberto Alomar, Devon White, Lloyd Moseby, Jesse Barfield, and Dwayne Ward. You can register right now at bluejays.com/camps. And I don't think any of them have ever been kicked out of a game while coaching, Buck.
Well, I don't think so, but today we had a couple of situations that demanded it. Tim Leeper was upset on Friday night that the umpires didn't call a balk when Donaldson was at the plate. They did the same thing today, and he was ejected standing up for his player. John Gibbons was ejected, talking about the strike zone. That happened in the third inning with Rougned Odor at the plate. Mitch Moreland leads things off for Texas. Aaron Sanchez has allowed just 2 hits. 86 miles an hour, and that's kind of the magic number for Sanchez as far as his changeup.
He was telling me, he said, if I'm throwing 97, I want 8 miles an hour off of my fastball. That makes his changeup 89. If I'm throwing 94 miles an hour, then I need that 86. And Aaron has been right around 94 miles an hour with his fastball today. So he says, I'm looking for 8, maybe 9 miles per hour off the changeup just to get him off that fastball. He says it moves so much, my fastball, just something different like a changeup. With those 8 miles per hour, it's good enough for me.
Ground ball, Smoke backs up. He'll shovel to Sanchez at the bag. 1 out. Sanchez as a starter has developed more weapons, and he's done that very effectively.
Well, he's throwing more changeup because he's getting more comfortable with it. Remember, he was throwing it at 90 miles an hour, sometimes 91 miles an hour. He's learning to take the sting out of that ball, so he's throwing it more often. He'll throw the changeup to lefties. He was saying that I've been facing a lot of left-handed batters, so I've been able to use my changeup a lot. It's really starting to feel good to me.
You made a great point about Sanchez when he hit in San Francisco, how he recognized what a challenge it is as a batter to hit. Jay Happ kind of said the same thing.
He's a good hitter too, and Jay hit in San Francisco. And American League pitchers, they don't get a chance to do that, but when they do hit and they say, hey, this is really tough to catch that ball and on its way in and catch it with the barrel of the bat. Don Cooper was telling us the story. He said, if I went out there and lobbed the ball in there and hit my corners on the outside corners, I'd get some outs with it if I threw a BP fastball. If I threw it on the inside corner, a BP fastball, I'd get some outs. Then if I threw the ball up, I'd probably get a couple of outs that way too. It took a little something off. What if I start spinning the ball and hitting my spots? The whole lesson on that story was you've got to pitch and you've got to hit your spots. It doesn't matter how hard you throw. It's where you throw it and when you throw it. That's what pitching's all about.
Full count to Elvis Andrus. Sanchez loses him. It's the 3rd walk of the ball game.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with turbo. The 2016 North American Car of the Year.
One ball game. Elvis Andrus with the 1-out walk. He's at first. Ryan Rua, the left fielder, he walked and scored in the 3rd. He scored the only Ranger run. Blue Jays turned a double play in the 2nd. Sanchez gave up a stolen base to Rua in the 3rd, so he's keeping an eye on Elvis Andrus.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he stays over there at first base. Got 4 stolen bases this season, Andrus, and he could run.
Ground ball, Tulowitzki to his right. 2nd for 1. Back to 1st. Not in time. Rua hustling down the line. Good aggressive slide at 2nd by Elvis Andrus. Slid right over the bag.
Yeah, Darwin Barty did everything he could to try and use the bag as a defender and made that runner come to him behind the bag. Watch him stay behind the bag. And he just can't get enough on it to turn over that double play.
You can see the Blue Jays are asking their video replay room whether or not they should challenge this, and that replay suggests not. So they will not challenge the call. No problem with interference at second. They just want to see if Rua beat the return throw. So there's 2 outs on the fielder's choice. Brian Holiday had a sacrifice bunt his first time up. He moved Rua from second to third with 1 out, and Sanchez struck out Odor, but then he and Desmond hit a double down the right field corner to chase home the Rangers run. It's a 1-1 ball game. The Blue Jays scored their run in the second. Michael Saunders with an RBI base hit. And the Rangers tied it up in the bottom of the third. A 2-out double by Ian Desmond drove in Ryan Rua, who walked to start the inning. It's a 1-1 game. Blue Jays have out-hit the Rangers 7-2, and the Blue Jays have stranded 7 base runners.
That's the biggest part of the game so far. 7 runners left on base by the Blue Jays through 5 innings, just 1 for Texas. The only mistake, the leadoff walk to Rua in that 3rd inning. He came around to score.
The Blue Jays have also suffered 2 ejections. Tim Leeper was thrown out of the ball game in the top of the 3rd by first base umpire and crew chief Dale Scott for arguing a pitcher not stopping. And then John Gibbons was ejected in the bottom of the 2nd by home plate umpire Dan Iasonia. This ball is hit deep to center field, and this ball is off the wall. Rua's around 3rd. He's going to be waved home. Tulowitzki's throw is not in time. Brian Holiday, the catcher, with a long double off the fence in center. His 8th RBI has given the Rangers the 2-1 lead.
Texas has had some problems with their catchers. They've had some injuries, so they've had to go out there and find some catchers on the market. Brian Holiday used to be with Detroit. He's going to take this 3-1 fastball and smoke it into the gap in left center field. And with 2 outs, Rua is going to be running on anything. He's got enough speed to score all the way from first base. Blue Jays cutoffs and relays were perfect. But Rua is just a little bit too quick, just ahead of the tag by Russell Martin.
Rua has scored both Ranger runs today. Reached on a walk and a fielder's choice. Back to the top of the order. Rougned Odor has struck out twice, both victimized by the Sanchez curveball. Ball on the strike. Both of the Rangers' runs have scored with 2 outs. Those are deflating base hits for the Blue Jays. 2-out RBI hits. A double by Desmond and a double by Holiday.
They can't come up with the 2-out hit. Texas has been doing it today. They lead, although that runner was not in scoring position. They lead Major League Baseball hitting with runners in scoring position as a team. Over 300. Number 1. So they have come up with some clutch hits this year.
One and 2. Cut on and missed. Foul chipped, and Russell Martin had to dig it out of the dirt. Odor got a piece of it. Odor strikes out for the 3rd time today. That's the first time he's had a 3-strikeout game all season long. But the Rangers, on the Holiday RBI double, have taken a 2-1 lead.
Plus fare. It's more than a seat, it's a premium experience for a smart price. WestJet. Speaking of flying, Buck, how about Danny Valencia's game today? 3 home runs.
Danny Valencia, 3 home run game.
5 ribbies. Oakland beat Tampa Bay. That's the team Blue Jays are going to play when they get home.
Tampa Bay, 3-game series. Starts tomorrow night. Blue Jays trail by a run. It's a 2-1 ball game as we head to the top of the 6th. Blue Jays are 3-2 so far in this road trip. I'd love to win this ball game. If they're going to do it, they're going to have to come from behind.
They've had a chance to win every one of these games. We were talking about that in the opening. The value of the home run, especially late in the game, has given them a chance to win every one of these games on the road, but they've lost a couple of them on walk-off fashion. A bases loaded walk to Buster Posey, and then the walk-off home run last night.
Troy Tulowitzki, another hit up the middle. The leadoff single. Tulowitzki's 2 for 3. Let's check in with Jamie Kemp. Sonny Gray and Matt Moore were the starters in that game. Ryan Madsen picks up his 10th save, and Steve Geltz charged with the loss on the blown save. So the Rays will be at Rogers Center tomorrow night. Drew Smiley and Jay Happ will open up the 3-game series. Another leadoff man on base for the Blue Jays. They've had the leadoff man on base in 5 of the 6 innings.
In only one of those innings have they been able to bring him around. That was in the 2nd inning.
Saunders got out of the way of that inside pitch. Andrew Faulkner in relief of Cesar Ramos, and this is an inside pitch. He just barely escapes being hit.
Left-handed batters like to lean out over that plate against left-handed pitchers. They can become susceptible to those breaking balls away. It looked like Michael Saunders was looking for breaking ball away, and it crossed him up, threw him a fastball inside, backed him off the plate.
Ground ball foul. Blue Jays just haven't been able to come up with big hits once again. Tom Wilhelmsen, who gave up 2 home runs in an inning here on Friday night, starting to loosen up. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Saunders the RBI single in the 2nd. Late swing, he's able to foul it off. The Rangers have utilized the double play very well. They got Justin Smoke to ground into a double play to end the 5th. That's the 53rd double play the Rangers have turned. Ground ball. Odor will bobble the ball, and all hands are safe. Well, there's a situation where a young infielder really had no chance at second. Take the out at first.
Classic case of trying to make something happen that really isn't there. There was no way he was going to throw Tulowitzki out at second base. He looks to try and fire the ball over there, and in his haste to try and get that lead runner, he drops the baseball. Calmly get an out. Wherever the ball is, you got to think about that play beforehand. He turns and throws to first base, he's out. But now Blue Jays get the first 2 runners aboard here. And one more time, here comes the manager. We might see this a lot this afternoon as they try to piece this together.
Odor is charged with the error. It's his 4th error of the season. That's going to knock Andrew Faulkner out of this ball game. Runners at first and second. Russell Martin is the scheduled hitter. Faulkner is out. Wilhelmsen coming in, the big right-hander. We mentioned Wilhelmsen gave up home runs to Encarnacion and Tulowitzki in the 8th inning on Friday night in that 5-0 shutout. Blue Jays trying to erase a 1-run deficit. Martin will face Wilhelmsen when we come back.
Seat upgrades, offers, and more. With Game Plus, it's part of the MLB.com Ballpark app. Learn more at BlueJays.com/Game Plus. Buck.
Thank you, Barry. New pitcher is the big right-hander Tom Wilhelmsen, making his 17th appearance of the season.
We remember Wilhelmsen from the Seattle Mariners, big tall right-hander. He was a closer for the Mariners. He had 29 saves in 2012, 24 more in 2013. Came here in a 5-player trade with the Seattle Mariners. Part of that trade was Leonis Martin, who we will see later in the summer. Wilhelmsen's got a good arm, good fastball, good overhand curveball, but he's had his problems versus the Blue Jays in his career.
Russell Martin takes a breaking ball for a strike. The Rangers were anticipating the possibility of a bunt. Blue Jays are 1 for 11 this afternoon with runners in scoring position.
Just keep plugging away. Just keep battling them, because sooner or later it's going to turn for them.
Bounced in front of home. Wilhelmsen has given up 6 home runs in this ballpark, and that's in a span of 5 2/3 innings.
He's a power pitcher who's been making mistakes, and it's not just Wilhelmsen, it's been the whole bullpen for the Texas Rangers. This is home runs allowed here at home by the Rangers, 38 of them. Wouldn't 39 look real pretty right now?
Number 1 for Russell. Timing would be excellent. He takes a strike. It's 1-2 to Russell Martin. Nobody out.
Wilhelmsen for his career has averaged about a strikeout per inning, so he's got a good fastball and he's got that good breaking ball.
Martin battles and fouls off the breaking ball. Russell's had a good run against Texas this season. Missed a couple of games as R.A. Dickey started 2 of those games against Texas. 7 for 17 as we speak. This was 1 for 2 this afternoon. Tried to tuck that shoulder in there, didn't he?
We have seen players in the past stick their elbow out there with that elbow pad to try and get hit on that slow curveball.
Ground ball to third. Beltre backs up, takes his time, and it throws off line at first. Michael Saunders with a good aggressive slide slid straight into the bag, and the timing was thrown off because Beltre hesitated just a split second at third.
You're absolutely right. That just wasn't a very clean turn by the Texas Rangers. 53 double plays turned by the infield. The team this year, he backs up just a little bit. There's the hesitation. Strong slide, and I think they're going to talk about this one, if you will. Bannister's going to come out and talk to the second base umpire about the slide by Michael Saunders around the bag.
That's Bob Davidson, the veteran umpire at second base, explaining what he saw to Bannister. It looked like Saunders went straight into the bag. When he hit the bag, it kind of popped up, the natural momentum taking him up, and they want to look at this. They're going to have a look at this on review. And that's got to be what's in question here, is whether or not that was a legal slide by definition.
The video coordinator, if you will, for the Texas Rangers is a former player manager. There's the slide right into the bag. Now, there's nothing that Michael Saunders could do right there to stop himself from sliding over the bag. But Bobby Jones is their video coordinator. He's a former player, former manager, former coach who's been around, and he talked to Bannister and said, hey, let's take a look at this one depending on what the rule says. See how they interpret this slide from Michael Saunders.
Well, the rule is Rule 7.14, and it's all about the intent of the base runner. And this replay review is powered by Samsung. Another look at it. He goes straight into the bag, and his momentum takes him over the bag. Now they call. Now DeMarlo Hale wants to get an interpretation of this. It looked like they called the double play. And DeMarlo Hale is the acting manager as John Gibbons was ejected in the third inning. So yeah, that clarify. It looked like he raised his right hand. Martin is still going to be at first. I think what they did was they gave the wrong signal. It should have been safe because he was out with the force out, and it was not a double play. So the confirmation from the video was that it was a force out, but when he came out and raised his right hand, momentarily DeMarlo Hale, I think, assumed it was a double play. But they clarified it. Martin's at first.
That's how they called it in Tampa Bay, if you remember that, to end that ball game when Bautista slid in there. After they came off the headsets, they went out, meaning that both runners were out. At that time, it was out at second, safe at first base.
That's the 15th challenge by the Rangers to have it reviewed, and that's the 8th time it was confirmed. The ruling on the field was indeed confirmed. Barney with the bunt, and now he stays right at home, and nobody's at first. Oh my! Barney bunted it right off home plate. He hesitated. He didn't know if it was fair or foul. That created Holiday to hesitate, and when he looked around, there was no place to throw it.
I think Brian Holiday was expecting that to be the suicide squeeze, and it was the safety squeeze. The runner's not coming from third base. He holds up. Look at him. He looks there. His play would have been to second base. There's the shortstop standing there to get the force out. Pretty tough to ask your second baseman who's playing behind the bag at second base on a bunt like that to come all the way in to first base. So now the Blue Jays have a golden opportunity to score some runs here.
That's a base hit for Barney, and the ball in the dirt blocked by Holiday. Well, you talk about some strange things we've seen on this road trip. The Giants bunted about 5 feet in front of home plate. Russell Martin's throw was in the dirt. That was part of that walk-off win for San Francisco, and now Barney gets a base hit the catcher had in his hands the whole time. Kevin Pillar on the ground, bobbled by Andrews, out at second, but the run comes in to score as Tulowitzki scores the tying run. Elvis Andrus had a perfectly tailor-made double play ball, but he bobbled it.
He bobbled one in yesterday's game, but they came back and made a great play. This one rolls right up his arms, but he's got the calmness to get the out. How about the stretch by Odor at second base? They only get one. You can see how upset he is with himself.
Flashbacks of
the division series.
The division series in that 7th inning of Game 5. The sure-handed Andrews looked like he had the ball to get them out of the inning, but it's a 2-2 game. Pillar picks up the RBI, his 14th. Josh Donaldson. Donaldson did not face Wilhelmsen on Friday night. Wilhelmsen faced 4 batters, gave up 2 home runs and a double.
But he has faced Wilhelmsen in the past. He's got a hit off of him, and that being a home run from their days in the American League West.
Donaldson, of course, with the A's, Wilhelmsen with the Mariners. The teams played a lot against one another, of course. A 2-2 ball game. Darwin Barney, a very unusual bunt base hit. Unusual in that Brian Holiday, the catcher, came out, fielded it just in front of home plate, but had nowhere to throw it.
It's been a sloppy inning, hasn't it, for the Texas Rangers? An error by the second baseman, a misplay right there by the catcher that you were just talking about, and then the shortstop with the misplay. And once again, excuse me, Buck, Blue Jays have to take advantage of it.
Donaldson takes ball 4. That'll load the bases, but Odor got it all started with that play on Saunders. He should have just taken the out. So Bautista gets his normal welcome here as he bats in the 6th. Bases loaded. Boy, wouldn't it be nice to come up with a big hit here?
Yeah, how about send one into the seats right here? And I'll tell you what, you can go ahead and bat flip it if you do.
Swing and a drive. This ball is in the alley, and it's going to drop up against the wall. 1 run is in. Here comes Pillar. Donaldson's being waved home. The relay from Andrews is not in time. A 3-run double by Jose Bautista.
Tell you, we saw some signs in last night's game that Jose is starting to come out of it. He doubled to right center field to lead off the 9th inning. He also hit a double in the 10th inning. And now here in the 6th inning, he picks on a breaking ball from Wilhelmsen early on and smokes this ball. He is all over this. That's what Brooke Jacoby wants him to do. Get on the plate. Your strength is pulling the ball to left field. He does that. He's going to clear the bases with 1 swing. And the Blue Jays, like that, have 4 runs on the board.
Bautista's 3rd double of the series. He drives home 3. Encarnacion gets hit by the pitch. And the wheels have fallen off for Texas here in the 6th. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Rare occurrence for Darren O'Day for sure, and Baltimore has been on quite a roll. The Blue Jays are on quite a roll here in the 6th. They've scored 4 runs in this inning.
That's one way to quiet the crowd, isn't it? Jose Bautista, they've been on him for 3 days here. I'll tell you what, that just fires him up.
It does. He had a big double in last night's game in the 9th inning. Josh Donaldson walked ahead of Bautista to load the bases, and Bautista cleared him with a double. Justin Smoke, the ninth man to bat for the Blue Jays here in the 6th. Isn't it interesting how this inning started? Tulowitzki singled, and then Saunders hit a ground ball to the hole at first, and Odor, the second baseman, tried to turn and fire to second, but he missed the ball. He booted it. He should have taken the routine out at first.
Trying to make something happen where it just wasn't there for him. But that's been, I think, the plan all along for the Blue Jays. Get that starter out of there. Let's get into that bullpen where we can do some damage. They've really struggled this year. The Texas Rangers bullpen,
among the worst in baseball after having such a strong finish to their season a year ago.
They were so good. They miss a couple of alarms out there. Keona Keller comes to mind. Tollison's not throwing like he did last year. They're 15th in the American League in earned run average.
Smoke with a 2-2 count. Strikes out. That ends the inning, but the Blue Jays put up a 4 spot in the top of the 6th. They take advantage of some shaky defense, and Jose Bautista with a 3-run double.
Junior Jays Club presented by Boston Pizza. This year's membership kit includes a Blue Jays cap, sunglasses, backpack, and more. Exclusive access to members-only events such as an autograph session and photo day with Blue Jays players. Purchase your membership kit today at any J Shop location or by visiting jshop.ca. Buck?
Aaron Sanchez has been terrific in his first 4 road starts this season. He has a 3-0 record coming into this game, and he's been staked to a 5-2 lead as he's set to work the 6th. Sanchez has 6 strikeouts. He's walked 3 and allowed just 3 hits to the Rangers. Ian Desmond drove in the first Ranger run that tied it up in the 3rd. A 2-out double down into the right field corner. He was thrown out trying to advance to 3rd to end the inning. Curveball bounced on the ground. Donaldson in time. 1 away. Well, Aaron Sanchez coming into this game is 3-1. And you look at his home road splits and you think it's going to balance out, but he's been great on the road.
Yeah. Who has he pitched against the road? He has pitched on the road. He has pitched at Tampa twice, at Boston, and at San Francisco, where he just gave up 1 earned run in 7 innings versus the Giants. That put together that opponent's batting average 163 and an ERA of 0.96.
His home record is really slanted because of his game against Oakland. Oakland touched him up for 6 runs on 10 hits in 4 and a third.
That's right.
And you remember that game, he really had trouble early in the ball game as they were jumping on his first pitch fastballs, and they did number on it.
And he couldn't get the ball down, if you remember that. One thing I've been impressed with over his last 3 starts, he's improved his strike percentage with his curveball. He's improved it 10% over his last 3 starts. So when I went and asked him about the curveball, how's it feel? He says it's feeling really good. It's a very good pitch. If he can learn to successfully get it in the strike zone a little bit more consistently, he's going to be tough.
You know, I spoke to Russell Martin about this pitching staff, the rotation in particular, and I said, are you surprised by what they've done so far? He said, not at all. He said Sanchez and Stroman came into camp in prime shape, anxious to do some big things. Right there, Smoke takes the line drive, 2 down.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Been a great series for the fans here in Arlington. Another full house tonight, nearly packed house. Adrian Beltre goes after the first pitch, hits it high and deep into center. Pilar is at the wall, and he's going to run out of room. Beltre with his 6th home run. He went up and got that high pitch and knocks it out of the ballpark to straightaway center.
He is still a very good ball player. I don't care how old he is. The birth certificate says 37. This guy's got a body of a 25-year-old. He takes this one deep to center field, gets on top of that fastball. Kevin Pillar thinks he can catch everything, and he just runs out of room with that effort.
That is the first home run Sanchez has surrendered to a right-handed hitter. And he can take a little bit of solace in the fact that it's a pretty good right-handed hitter, Adrian Beltre.
He's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday.
Fielder bounces it to Smoke. Flips to Sanchez to end the inning. But Beltre gets one back. One swing of the bat hits his 6th home run. We'll go to the 7th. The Blue Jays have a 5-3 lead.
Share all your experiences as they happen with friends and family back home. With Roam Like Home from Rogers, you can use your phone exactly as you do at home, starting at $5 a day in the U.S. Go to Rogers.com/roamlikehome for more details. Buck.
Thank you, Mary Davis. As we head to the 7th, it's Troy Tulowitzki to lead things off. Tulo's had a good day. 2 for 3 so far this afternoon. He scored the tying run in the 6th inning. First of 4 runs the Blue Jays would score in that inning. Tom Wilhelmsen back for his 2nd inning. He gave up 4 runs on 3 hits. Blue Jays had benefited up an error and another misplayed ball on a potential double play ball.
Yeah, they could have got out of the inning before the big hit. 4 runs, 2 of them earned runs because of the misplays.
Downstairs with the fastball, 3-0. Tulowitzki is inching up on 200, and it's been a long, slow climb for him. Batting 195 after 2 hits today. He swings away, and this ball is going to drop. Desmond has it go by him. Tulowitzki is headed for second, and he'll pull up at second with another leadoff double. That'll push him over 200.
6 straight innings now. The Blue Jays have had the leadoff runner on and swinging away 0-2. It looked like Ian Desmond, to me, played this base hit into a double. Look at the route. He cuts across instead of back to cut the ball off. Anytime an outfielder will cut the ball off, he'll stop that runner. But he cut straight across. The ball got by him, and Troy's standing at second base.
The Blue Jays have had their leadoff man reach base 6 of the 7 innings this afternoon. It took him until the 6th to really take care of that opportunity. Michael Saunders is 1 for 3 with an RBI.
Good hitter at the plate right now. As you see, Matt Bush. Saw him the other night. Gets up and starts to get loose.
There's a base hit for Saunders. Tulowitzki's getting the stop sign. Mazara bobbled it. Boy, the Rangers have kicked it around all over the diamond in the outfield and in the infield.
You know, if there were 2 outs, they were going to send that runner and he would have scored. But with nobody out, you're hitting at the bottom of the lineup. You got to play it safe. They've already seen the arm of Nomar Mazara, and they weren't going to take any chances. Michael Saunders with yet another hit to right field, and Louis Rivera throws up the stop sign very quickly before that ball even got to the outfielder.
Saunders is up to 331 now. Came into the game batting 225. That'll move him up the leaderboard in the American League. Doug Brocail out to have another chat with Wilhelmsen and the catcher Brian Holiday.
Maybe to buy a little time to let Matt Bush get a little bit closer to being ready.
More than anything, I think that's exactly what he was doing. What can you tell Wilhelmsen here? There's Matt Bush, who made his major league debut on Friday night. Russell Martin singled into second. He's 1 for 3 on the afternoon with a run scored. Blue Jays would love to get that run back. Rangers got in the bottom of the 6th. It's a 5-3 Blue Jays lead.
How about get that run back and more? I mean, you've got Wilhelmsen on the ropes right now. You got to deliver that knockout punch. Knock him out of the ball game with another big hit.
Breaking ball for strike 1. Blue Jays have 5 runs on 12 hits. Tulowitzki, a 3-hit game.
That's 2 straight days that the Blue Jays have had double digits in hits. They came into this game with just 8 all season long after getting one yesterday.
A 10 hits yesterday, scored 5 runs, but lost 6-5 in extra innings. This has been a real Achilles heel for the Texas Rangers. Their bullpen, they've been beat around and certainly has created problems for them.
Highest ERA coming into this game in the American League. The most hits per 9 innings pitched. They've averaged 10 hits per 9 innings pitched out of that bullpen. That's the worst in the American League. And we've already mentioned the home runs, 24 of them.
Three and 1 now to Martin. 0-4. That'll load the bases. So Jeff Bannister's making his way to the top step of the dugout, and he's going to come out and make a pitching change. Russell Martin walks. Wilhelmsen gives up a double, a single, and a walk, and it's going to be it for Tom Wilhelmsen. The first batter he faced, then got Bautista Encarnacion to record his first big league inning. He was a former #1 pick overall 2004 by the San Diego Padres as a shortstop, and he had a multitude of off-field problems, including an accident while driving under the influence, and he served 39 months in prison. But the Rangers gave him a second chance. They signed him in December of 2015, and here he is in the big leagues.
He's always had a great arm. You mentioned he was a shortstop when he first signed with San Diego, his hometown. He played high school ball with Cole Hamels. They knew each other in high school days. Hamels a little bit older. Hamels was a #1 pick. So was Matt Bush. He's got a great arm. He started throwing. The Rangers went down, sent a couple of scouts in there, saw him throw in a parking lot of where he worked at a Golden Corral, and signed him right there.
Darwin Barney had a bunt base hit his last time up. Bases loaded, nobody out. Blue Jays have a 5-3 lead, trying to add to their lead here. Barney goes around. Ball and a strike.
They wanted to bring Matt Bush in a very low-key situation. Started that inning when they were down 5-0, so not a lot of pressure. This one a little bit different. Bases loaded. Nobody out. 7th inning. They're looking for the strikeout. I think if you are the Blue Jays, I think you make them throw the ball over the plate. Don't be too anxious.
That last pitch was 98 miles an hour.
He is going to supply the power. All you have to do is, as a hitter, is make sure you catch the ball out in front. You don't have to overpower the baseball because he's going to supply the power. Just hit it square.
Strike 3 called. 98-mile-an-hour fastball, first out of the inning.
You got to figure he's going to be throwing fastballs. That's his best pitch. #1. His breaking ball, he's got a curveball, a little bit of a slider. It's not refined yet. He hasn't been able to throw it consistently for strikes. So as the Blue Jays, as the hitter, you should go up there, look for that fastball. Look for it and put it in play.
Kevin Pillar's had a 2-hit afternoon. A couple of stolen bases and a run scored, plus an RBI. We mentioned Bush faced just the middle three: Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion on Friday night. Everybody else getting their first look at the hard-throwing right-hander. Ground ball, foul.
He's got good command. He's got good arm strength. Nothing wrong with that fastball. Maybe you expand a little bit as a hitter. Right here. Expand the strike zone.
Foul back. Blue Jays have had plenty of opportunities with runners in scoring position. They've stranded 9. They've scored 5. Looking to add to that. Down the right side, that's going to drift into the seats out of play. Breaking ball that Pillar pulls into the seats down the left side. Stayed on it pretty well with 2 strikes.
He's up there hacking. Kevin doesn't walk too much. He's up there swinging. Get one to hit right here. Runners on the bases have to be alive for the line drive. Everything on the ground. Also, Martin's got to take that fielder out.
Fly ball into center. Tulowitzki going back to tag at third. Saunders going back to second. Tulowitzki comes in to score. Saunders moves to third. Pillar picks up the RBI. Makes it a 6-3 game. Second RBI of the afternoon for Pillar.
How about that at bat by Kevin Pillar, shortening up his swing, not over swinging. Told you, Matt Bush is going to supply the power. You just make sure you catch it out in front like you did. Hit it deep enough to pick up that run, pick up the RBI, his 14th. And the Blue Jays scratched through a run.
Josh Donaldson is the only Blue Jays in the lineup not to have a hit today. He scored a run in the 4-run 6th inning after drawing a walk. Outside, ball 2. Blue Jays took the lead in the second, 1-0 on a Saunders RBI single. Then the Rangers tied it up in the third. Rangers took the lead in the 5th, 2-1. But the Blue Jays had a 4-run top of the 6th, and now they have made it a 6-3 game. Look out, Josh almost walked into that pitch.
Yeah, he was setting up to swing at that fastball. Bush backed him off the plate with it. Like he tried to overthrow that one. I'm letting him swing 3-0 here, aren't you?
Trying to get him going.
Yeah.
Yep. He's had a tough series. He's 0 for 3 today, 0 for 13 in the series.
You give veteran hitters the option if you want to swing away You feel comfortable enough.
He had a good cut.
Yes, he did. Got a pitch to his liking. Took a healthy cut at it. Just missed it.
Bush struck out Donaldson, the first batter he's faced in the major leagues. Donaldson caught looking at strike 3 on Friday night. Full count. Donaldson hits it in the air. Desmond is there. The inning is over. The Blue Jays strand a pair, but they get an insurance run off the bat of Kevin Pillar. He's had a couple of ribbies today. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. 6-3 Blue Jays. WestJet, and the Blue Jays will wrap up this series and head home to Rogers Center. 3-game series. It all starts tomorrow night against the Tampa Bay Rays and the Minnesota Twins. That's where the Blue Jays are headed next. They'll have a 4-game series. It all begins on Thursday. Blue Jays will have an off day on the 23rd. That's Monday in New York, and then they'll take on the Yankees for a 3-game series before they return to Rogers Center for the Boston Red Sox series.
And if you talk about the Tampa Bay Rays, you got to be talking about some pretty good pitching, and they will run into Drew Smiley, Chris Archer, Jake Odorizzi. They'll be opposed by Jay Happ, Marcus Stroman, and R.A. Dickey. So after that short 3-game homestand, they're back out on the road again, and they will face Minnesota, who has just so happens to have the worst record in the American League. So the Blue Jays have a chance to put some wins together over the next 2 weeks.
Well, the Rays are going to run into some good pitching as well. Jay Happ is 5-0. Marcus Stroman 4-0, and R.A. Dickey is pitching really well right now. He won the opener here, shutting out the Rangers over 5-0 over 8 innings. We want to congratulate Marcus Stroman. Today he is graduating from Duke University, and a job well done by a young man who has graduated from one of the most prestigious universities in all of the country. And He's away from the ball club to be with his family, and they can enjoy this great day. And congratulations to Marcus and his family.
He made a promise that when he went to Duke that he was going to graduate, and the Blue Jays gave him a chance to go back there. It just happened to work out in the schedule. So our congratulations from the television booth out to Marcus Stroman.
Well done. Aaron Sanchez starting the 7th. Sanchez has been terrific pitching on the road, as we've mentioned. This is his 5th start on the road this season. He's 3-0 coming into this game with a ERA under 1.
You know, and if you know anything about Aaron Sanchez, he took note of the loss yesterday and how they lost that ball game. He's all about winning. He's all about his team. And you know he wants to give his team a shot in the arm and get back on the winning streak on getaway day.
Mitch Moreland lines it into the alley in left center. Pillar's got to hustle to cut it off. He cuts it off, but Moreland is going to get it second with a leadoff double. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Thank you very much, Jamie. Miguel Gonzalez and Masahiro Tanaka, the starters in that game. Chad Durant, the lefty, starting to loosen up for the Blue Jays. If you're just joining us, Brett Cecil has been placed on the disabled list. Dustin Antolin has been added to the roster, called up from AAA Buffalo. Elvis Andrus has grounded into a double play and walked in his 2 plate appearances. Ground ball, base hit. We're going to stop Moreland right there. Bautista comes up throwing and throws it right to the cutoff man. Moreland had a full head of steam coming around third, but Spike Owen, the third base coach, threw up the stop sign.
Well, all he has to do is look up at that scoreboard and see that he is down by 3 runs, and you don't want to be running into an out. Inside out swing by Andrews. Dart Barney does everything he could to try and keep it on the infield. And Moreland, who's not a great runner, he's okay, is held at third base, and just like that, the tying run comes to the plate.
Pete Walker is out to talk to Sanchez and give his bullpen time to get loose. It looks like Jesse Chavez has joined Chad Gerardo down in the bullpen.
You know, I thought Jose did a good job of keeping that ball low so the Blue Jays could cut that ball off and keep Andrews over there at first base. A lot of times outfielders will come up trying to show off their arm, overthrow that cutoff man. Next thing you know, Andrews, a heads-up base runner, would have been on second base.
If you're just joining us, first base coach Tim Leeper and manager John Gibbons have been ejected from this game, both occurring in the 3rd inning, but both in separate arguments. 6-3 Blue Jays. Brewer hits a double play ball. Barney to Tulowitzki for 1, back to second, double play. Moreland comes in to score, but the Blue Jays trade a run for 2 outs.
Boy, that's the maturation right there of a young pitcher. You get it up a double and a single, and you come right back and you just saw off the batter and get the double play. Yeah, they will trade 2 outs for a run right here as the middle infield take care of business. Right now, the Blue Jays are counting outs. That's what you're looking for.
Tulowitzki and Barney handling that very effectively. Number 9 hitter Brian Holiday had an RBI double in the 5th. Drove in the 2nd Ranger run. That gave them a 2-1 lead at the time. That lead evaporated quickly when the Blue Jays scored 4 in the top of the 6th. Rangers catchers have had a good series against the Blue Jays.
Haven't they? Holiday had the sac bunt his first time up and doubled and scored a run. Bobby Wilson had a grand slam in yesterday's game.
Walk to the number 9 hitter. That'll bring the tying run to the plate.
Aaron has thrown 7 innings in his last 3 starts. And Pete Walker is going to get on the phone right now to see if Gerardo is ready. Can he finish this one off and pitch 7 innings? He has handled Rougned Odor. No need to take him out. Odor is 0 for 3.
3 strikeouts. The first time Odor has had a 3 strikeout game this season. The concern is Odor's got some power. Coming into this game over his last 16 games, he's at 342 with 11 extra base hits. He's up there hacking. Sanchez is handling very effectively with the curveball.
Struck him out his first 2 times with the curveball. And then in the 5th inning, he gassed him up. Fastball up in the strike zone, put him away.
Sanchez ahead, 0-2. You make a great point about Sanchez. His priorities are in the right place. He's pitching to keep his team in the game. He's pitching to win the series. He understands what his role is. As a starting pitcher, your role is to win the game.
And all you have to do is spend a couple of minutes with him, and you get that point.
Ground ball up the middle. Barney's going to have to hurry. Not in time. Infield hit for Odor.
You know what? You make a good pitch, and you don't have anything to show for it. I mean, he's fought off Rougned Odor. Softly hits this ball. Watch this fastball in on his hands. It's hit very softly. No chance to get the runner at second base. Barney does everything he can. Odor beats it out, and Aaron is not going to be able to get the chance to go 7 innings.
DeMarlo Hale will take the ball from Sanchez. First time this year he's not completed 7 innings on the road, but he leaves with the lead. Ian Desmond is the scheduled batter. Jesse Chavez, the right-hander, will come out of the Blue Jays bullpen. Number on pitchers. They have really scored a ton of runs this year. Blue Jays just trying to hold on here. Ed Sanchez goes 6 2/3.
Just could not finish off the 7th inning, so he will give way to Jesse Chavez. Jesse worked 4 days ago in that game in San Francisco, 2 innings, Gave up a couple of walks, a couple of hits. Jesse was a former Texas Ranger. He was a 42nd round draft pick back in 2002 by the Texas Rangers.
Ian Desmond goes up there, hacking. He swings at that first pitch. Desmond tied it up for the Rangers with an RBI double in the third. He's 1 for 3 on the afternoon. The RBI is 20th of the season. Runners at first and second. 2 outs. Foul back.
Desmond has one thing on his mind, doesn't he? He's looking for a pitch out over the plate that he can do some damage with. Chavez has a nice little cutter that he picked up a couple of years ago. Felt like players were on his fastball, so he developed a cutter. It's got a nice little late movement to it on the outside part of the plate to right-handed batters. And when he's dialed in against those righties, he can throw it there consistently.
Chavez ahead, a ball and 2 strikes. Holiday the catcher at second, Odor at first. Rangers have scored a run here in the bottom of the 7th to make it a 6-4 ball game. I think they've got to change speeds on Desmond.
Yes.
He's catching up to that pitch.
Everything has been the same speed and it's been up. He's got a nice curveball too. Try to bury one down and away, see if Desmond will swing at it.
Curveball high and deep to left. This ball is going to be gone. He hung a curveball to it, and Desmond hits a 3-run home run.
And the Rangers have a 4 spots, and that's going to take Aaron Sanchez out of this game. Can't win it. Curveball was the right pitch. He just didn't execute it. He had to bury that thing down and away. Everything was up.
Pizarro goes after the first pitch, and he rips it into center.
Everything was up. So if you try and bury that curveball, you're going to get it, but he just throws it over the middle of the plate, and Ian Desmond's done that a few times in his career. He knows what that feels like.
Desmond's 5th home run of the season. He has driven in 4 this afternoon. He has 23 ribbies on the season. The Rangers have a 7-6 lead. Adrian Beltre homered his last time up. It was a 2-out home run off Sanchez in the 6th. It was the first home run Aaron Sanchez has allowed to a right-handed hitter. And it came in the 343rd plate appearance by a right-handed hitter.
And that RBI by Adrian Beltre tied him for 56th all time. Dave Parker in RBIs. That was his 1,493rd RBI.
This is high and deep to left. If it's fair, it's trouble, but it's just foul. Another pitch up. Beltre hit a high pitch off of Sanchez to center.
He He's still quick. This ball hooking down the left field line, and it's foul by about 10 feet.
Popped up on the infield. Smoke, the first baseman, calls for it. The inning is over, but the Rangers have a 4-run inning in the bottom of the 7th. A 3-run home run by Ian Desmond has given the Texas Rangers a 7-6 lead. Civic, the 2016 North American Card of the Year.
Jose Bautista leads the American League in walks, but you've got the bases loaded, no place to put him, hanging breaking ball, and Jose Bautista delivers. He's going to clear the bases with this ringing double to left center field. Blue Jays all in all would score 4 runs thanks to that 3-run double by Jose Bautista, and that is our drive of the game this afternoon.
Blue Jays playing catch up once again. They trail by a run. Bautista gets hit by Matt Bush.
That's weak.
Dan Sonia, home plate umpire, put the warning in immediately. Now Jeff Bannister wants to come out.
And now he's going to take him out. That's weak.
No, I think he wants to find out why the warning has been in place. Both managers are on the foul lines. DeMarlo Hale is out on the third base foul line. Bannister is on the first base foul line. They want an explanation of this. Matt Bush has 0 history with Jose Bautista.
Right.
0. So Bannister wants to understand that, hey, the kid is up here. It's a second big league game. He's probably nervous, throws hard, happened to hit Bautista. Well, with the history of these two teams and Jose, it's very suspect, obviously.
Well, Blue Jays aren't going to face the Rangers anymore. And they take the lead and they drill them on the last at bat, possibly of the season against these two.
Yeah, but it's the tying run.
This guy has been throwing BBs over the plate for 2 games, and now the first one hits him.
Yeah, it is suspect. There's no question about it.
Tell you what, Jose's pissed.
Yeah, it hurts.
He's upset. It looked like that ball might have hit him in the elbow. And he is upset. That is the crew chief, Dale Scott.
But you're right. It's the last time they're going to see each other, and everybody's been anticipating some sort of retaliation for the bat flip last year.
Yeah. That was the 4-game series in Rogers Center. Nothing. First 2 games here. Nothing. Jose's last at bat of the season.
Make it hurt. Edwin Encarnacion takes one downstairs. Jose had a bases clearing double in his previous at bat back in the 6th. Ball 2.
Well, there's one way to get back at him, isn't there?
Beat him.
Make it hurt, like you said. Hit a home run.
Holiday, the catcher, has really thrown well. He's caught 4 of 7 potential base stealers. So if you're thinking about a stolen base, not a good option.
Not yet.
3-0.
Blue Jays have 3 stolen bases this afternoon. 2 by Pilar, 1 by Bautista. But right now, you got some big hitters coming up representing the go-ahead run. Let them hit.
Three and 0 to Encarnacion. There's a strike he was taking all the way. Left-hander Jake Diekman loose in the Rangers bullpen. A home run cut by Encarnacion. It's a full count.
Tell you, this is just like the playoffs, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Back and forth when these two teams got together last October. These games have been awesome.
High fly ball to left. Brewer coming in a few steps. Bautista's halfway, and that's the first out of the 8th. Now, Justin Smoak hit a dramatic home run in last night's game, and it would be fitting that the former Ranger could do it again.
He's not going to get a chance to do it, it doesn't look like, against Matt Bush, as Jeff Bannister's going to turn him around and make him do it right-handed.
So Matt Bush, he is the pitcher of record for the Rangers. He will turn things over to the bullpen. And Bautista's going to remember that at bat against Matt Bush. So it'll be the left-hander Jake Diekman coming out of the bullpen to turn Smoak around. Bautista hit by Bush in the first pitch of this inning. Lots of drama here in Arlington. Presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Jake Diekman working to Justin Smoak, misses with the first pitch outside. Rangers have a 7-6 lead. Bautista at first, hit by a pitch. Diekman on in relief with 1 out.
Here are the big numbers for Diekman in 18 games. This is number 19. He is amongst the leaders in the American League in appearances. This drops him into 5th most with number 19. He is also tied for third in holds with 9. Hard fastball, hard slider, but he's had his problems lately.
Beekman pitched in last night's game 2/3 of an inning. Hit on the ground. Beltre goes to second for 1, and Bautista. Now there's a fight at second, and Odor smokes Bautista. And now both dugouts are empty. And now Pilar's into it with Odor, and Pilar's going. And there's a lot of animosity out there right now.
I'll tell you, this has been brewing since last October. Bautista went into second base hard, and Odor took exception and started swinging.
And they're still going at it.
Yes, they are.
And you can't blame Bautista one bit. A hard slide. The only way he can get payback. He's being held back by Beltre. But this has been brewing ever since last October.
Yes, it has. You could see this coming.
Encarnacion, he's very upset as well. Bautista got hit by the rookie. And now Encarnacion, it takes a lot to get him upset.
Yes. Tell you, it looks like Bautista wants some more. He's coming back for some more.
Bautista got hit leading off this inning by Matt Bush, the rookie. And then he slid in hard to second. And it was an intentional slide. There's no doubt about it. And you can't blame him. Goins telling the umpire, Lance Barrett, I got Bautista. He's not an issue. But nobody's leaving this scrum. And there are a lot of upset people. And Gibbons has been ejected. And Sonia saying, man, you can't even be out here. But this goes back to the playoffs. The final game between these two teams this season.
Didn't you have a feeling? I had a feeling. They're not going to face each other unless they play each other in the playoffs. It's May 15th. They're done. And you just had a feeling that towards the end of this game, something like this was going to happen.
Steve Buechele, the bench coach, he's being restrained.
When Bautista got hit, to me, that was pretty obvious. These two teams don't like each other, and they are battling each other.
Buechele is being restrained by several coaches. The umpires have started to clear the field. This is how it starts after Bautista got hit. He's running from first, and he's got intent on his mind, and he doesn't want to hear about any rule. And then Odor comes up swinging, and it's on. Beltre immediately neutralizes Bautista, but Pilar's over there to help his teammates out. And it's an old-fashioned Donnybrook.
Yep. Sunday afternoon, and they're ready to go at it. And this one lasted a while, didn't it?
There's a lot of upset guys in the middle of that pile. Here's the slide by Bautista, and there's no doubt about what he had on his mind. Odor hits him in the chest and then hits him in the face with the right. And the brawl is on. Beltre comes over immediately. Puts a bear hug on Bautista.
And got him out of there. But then Pilar said, you can't do that to my teammate. And he's sticking up for Bautista, tried to get at Odor. Andrews blocked him off. Donaldson got in there.
I wouldn't expect anything less from the Blue Jays.
Nope. I'll tell you, two teams that want to get back to the playoffs, that want to fight. They want to win this game, and they'll do anything for their teammates.
Here's another look at the slide, and Bautista takes out the legs of Odor, and Odor immediately hits Bautista in the chest. And then the bench is empty.
Yeah, it's a double play. They just called it a double play.
So now Bob Davidson and the crew chief Dale Scott explaining the situation. So because of the slide, it's a double play. But right now the Blue Jays could care less about the double play. These two teams have had bad blood since last season's division series.
Jose's been getting the royal treatment from these fans for 3 days. Just wait for something like this to happen, and I tell you, that was crazy.
Steve Buechele might be ejected, and that's why he's out to argue with the umpires. And Jeff Bannister says, I'll take care of it from here. I'm sure there are going to be a multitude of ejections as the umpires are trying to dissect what happened.
Ejections and some fines as Odor and Bautista go right at it. I thought Adrian Beltre did the right thing in going in and getting his buddy Bautista out of that scrum. But then everybody else took him on. They're trying to hold back Pilar.
Pilar was looking for Odor.
Yes.
You know, soon in the middle of it, pulling Rangers out of the pile, and Edwin got upset at someone. Obviously, we can't dissect that. But in the middle of the pile, it gets crazy.
I think Josh Donaldson has been thrown out of this game after you saw him go into that pile because Andy Burns is over at third base.
Well, lots of action here. We're going to take a break, and we'll go back to Blue Jays Central for an update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn from the Samsung broadcast studio. Well, this is not a replay, folks. Jesse Chavez hit Prince Fielder with the first pitch of the inning, and the benches have cleared once again. This is the first pitch.
This was coming one more time, right in the leg. That's a purpose pitch, and Russell Martin goes out there to try and stop it. The benches came out. Jeff Bannister came out and kept his team from coming out on the field. You're right. This isn't a replay. They're back at it. Round one wasn't enough.
Bannister, to his credit, came out to keep his team off the field. But you saw Russell Martin. He wasn't about to let anybody get near Chavez. Jesse just walked off the field. He knew he was gone. But you got to credit Jesse Chavez with everything on the line. He said, heck with it. I got to protect my team. And he drills Prince Fielder.
Wow, it's going to take a while to sort this one out. I know that Donaldson's been thrown out of the game. Bautista has been thrown out of the game. Now Jesse Chavez has been thrown out of the ball game. If you're keeping score at home, Andy Burns is in to play third base. Carrera has been installed in right field. And now the Blue Jays are waiting for a pitcher.
Well, Fielder will be lifted in favor of a pinch runner. So he gets hit by a pitch. Blue Jays relievers back to the bullpen, and they're going to call upon Chad Gerardo. DeMarlo Hale has signaled to the bullpen, hey Chad, go in the bullpen and get your glove.
Go get your
glove.
You're in. You're in.
No, Chad, you got a pitch. Okay. You got everything? Yeah. Just checking on the phone. Okay, Gerardo's going to come into the game. We have a pinch runner at first in Drew Stubbs. This is a ball game right here, where the Blue Jays need to come back and win this game, and this could be the turnaround point.
Yeah, I get that feeling where everybody's on the same page. The team starts fighting for each other, and you go on long winning streaks.
I cannot blame Bautista one bit. He got hit by a pitch, and obviously there was intent from Matt Bush, and then he's running from first to second on the ground ball, and he takes out Odor, the second baseman, and Odor comes up swinging, and then it's on. Beltre neutralizes Bautista, and then the Blue Jays come out to defend Bautista, and Pilar's in the middle of it. Donaldson's in the middle of it. Some of the coaches got involved, and there's some swinging going on. John Givens has been ejected back in the third inning. He came out to make sure he protects his players, but that's going to create some sort of penalty for Givens. But you can see there's a lot of pushing and shoving, and then Chavez, the first pitch of the bottom of the inning, hits Prince Fielder, the first batter. And Russell Martin is prepared for anything. Look at him bouncing around.
For anybody, he's got his head on a swivel looking for somebody. But you're right, to Jeff Bannister's credit, he's out on the foul line, keeping his players from crossing the line. Those are the guys who've got to sort it out right there.
Well, there was so much going on in the middle of that pile, it's difficult to really evaluate. But the Blue Jays, man, they responded as a unit. And Bautista, he got hit to start that inning. And then Encarnacion flied out, Smoke hit a grounder, and it was on. And then it was on for a second time when Jesse Chavez, he's an old school guy, came up and said, you can't hit my guy without me retaliating.
Did you have that feeling when you came to the ballpark this morning that something like this might happen because it's the last time these two teams will face each other this year? And you just knew the Texas Rangers were waiting to do something to Bautista, taking offense to the bat flip last year. Rougned Odor got in a couple of haymakers there before he was pushed off.
Well, you can't play this many close games and not have bad feelings. Of course, the Blue Jays got the last laugh last year as they won in Toronto in Game 5. Blue Jays had a tough loss last night as the Rangers walked them off in extra innings with a home run. But I can bet you that there are a lot of pounding hearts underneath those Blue Jay jerseys right now.
Under our golf shirts right now. I'm pretty fired up, partner.
Well, it is a 7-6 game. Chad Gerardo in to face Mitch Moreland. There's nobody out in the runner at first. That's Drew Stubbs, and he can run. Stubbs hit the walk-off home run in last night's game. Cued off the end of the bat. Burns goes to second for one. No time for a double play. Andy Burns in defensively for Donaldson.
Bautista trying to keep Odor off, and he connects on Jose. And then Beltre stepped in and separated him.
He threw another one and missed. So DeMarlo Hale has been ejected because there was a warning in place when Chavez hit fielder, and he was the manager. So we're down to Luis Rivera. And Rivera takes the ball from Toronto. So we've had 3 different managers here today for the Blue Jays, and we're going to have a pitching change here. Gerardo is out after getting the force out, and it'll be Roberto Osuna coming into this game. So the Blue Jays trying to keep it a 1-run game. We'll call upon their closer to do just that. Here we're in the 8th in an action-packed ball game. Come on back. The number 7 hitter in the Ranger lineup will face Roberto Osuna, making his 17th appearance. And Pat, I think this shows just how much the Blue Jays want to come back and win this game.
Shut it down right here. This is the 3rd reliever of the inning for the Blue Jays. Chavez, Gerardo, and now Osuna. Roberto in 16 games. He's 8 for 9 in saves. He's only thrown 15 innings. Lefty's doing nothing against him.
First pitch popped up. Smoke calls for it. The first baseman near the mound. Osuna gets the out on one pitch. So Ryan Rua will step in, and Rua's had a very productive afternoon. He scored a pair of runs. He walked, has a stolen base.
He also hit into a double play that scored a run for Texas.
First pitch strike. Breaking ball, strike 2.
Remember the series, the Blue Jays and Kansas City Royals got together last year, that 4-game series? That's what this series feels like.
Yeah, that was a regular season series as well.
And you're like, let's hope they face each other in the playoffs, and they did. This is the same type of atmosphere, that playoff atmosphere where everybody's into it, everybody's fighting tooth and nail all the way to the end of the game.
You have been on teams in the past where something like that can really spark a ball club and bring them together. You hate to have something like that, but it's certainly a situation to unite a team. And Bautista, he's been taking it all throughout this series. Every time he's been introduced and the fans have been on him, and they've kind of created that atmosphere through the media.
And then when he got hit in his final at bat, and then the takeout slide, it was on.
Three and 2 now to Ryan Rua. 2 outs, a runner at first base. Eddie Burns is in at third. Donaldson has been ejected. He's out of the ball game. Ball is lifted in the air. That is Mitch Moreland running at first as Stubbs was erased on the fielder's choice with Moreland in. Elvis Andrus popped up. Now it's a 3-2 count on Ryan Rua. Foul tipped and Russell couldn't hang on. Looking ahead to the top of the 9th, it'll be Tulowitzki, Saunders, and Martin. The Rangers have their closer warming up.
Their closer for today, Sam Dyson, is warming up.
Their closer for yesterday gave up home runs. There goes the runner. That's ball 4. Sam Dyson pitched in yesterday's game. Just a third of an inning. He got 2/3 of an inning on Friday. This is the catcher, Brian Holiday. Holiday's had a productive game. Had a sacrifice bunt in the 3rd. He had an RBI double in the 5th and walked and scored in the 7th.
Might have been the biggest at bat, I think, of the afternoon for the Texas Rangers. Blue Jays had just turned a double play, and then they walked the number 9 hitter. And that set the stage for them to come back with an infield single and then a home run.
Yeah, to walk the number 9 hitter, you're asking for trouble. That turned the lineup over. Fly ball to left. Saunders coming in a few steps. Continues to come in. Makes the catch. The inning is over. So we'll go to the 9th. Lots of fireworks here this afternoon in Arlington. Jose Bautista with the hard slide. Odor takes exception, and then the fight is on. Bench is clear. It's a 1-run game as we go to the
Thunder as the NBA Western Conference Final gets going Monday night. Tune in 9 o'clock Eastern on Sportsnet 1 and Sportsnet Now for NBA action from Oakland. And by the way, congratulations to the Toronto Raptors, who will advance to the Eastern Final for the first time in franchise history. Game 1 with the Cavs goes Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, and you can watch that right here on Sportsnet. Bye.
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. New pitcher into the ball game is Sam Dyson, making his 3rd appearance in this series. It's his 20th of the season.
You mentioned that only 2/3 of an inning on Friday, a 1/3 of an inning last night, so he is well rested. Answer Alberto takes over at second base for Rougned Odor. Dyson's got that hard sinking fastball, and there it is.
First pitch strike. There have been 8 ejections in this game. Gibbons and Leeper were thrown out in separate incidents in the 3rd inning. Leeper in the top half, Gibbons in the bottom half. There's a grounder to 3rd. Beltre gobbles it up. 1 out. And then in the fight, Bautista and Donaldson for the Blue Jays were thrown out. Odor and Steve Buechele, the bench coach, were thrown out. And then when Chavez hit Fielder, Chavez and the acting manager, DeMarlo Hale, were ejected. So a total of 8 coaches and managers have been ejected from this game today. Michael Saunders, he had the dramatic home run in San Francisco. Sam Dyson keeps that ball down. It's tough to get the ball airborne against Dyson. Dyson has allowed just 1 home run this season. Michael Saunders has had another good day at the plate, 2 for 4.
Ball bounces. It's going to be tough to hit a home run often, so the Blue Jays should be thinking about getting on base, working the count, maybe going the other way if you're a left-handed hitter, and just heck at Sammy Dyson. He is a ground ball machine. He gets a lot of ground balls with that hard sinking fastball.
Ground ball. Alberto at second. Blue Jays down to their final out. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here's Martin Gaillard. Russell Martin, the final hope for the Blue Jays. 2 outs, top of the 9th.
Dyson with that good sinker. Watch where Brian Holiday, the catcher, is setting up. He's got that glove way down in that strike zone, wanting Dyson to hit it down. It's a good target.
Martin hits it on the ground. Andrews has it. That's the ball game. So the Blue Jays lose a pair of tough luck games here in Arlington. They were walked off in last night's game, and they give up 4 runs here in the bottom of the 7th to lose this ball game.
But maybe the fireworks that happened late in this ball game rallies this team together as you see the Texas Rangers come off the field. Maybe that rallies the Blue Jays as they head back home for 3 games against Tampa Bay.
Blue Jays will finish up 3-3 on the road trip. Open up tomorrow against Tampa Bay. Thanks for watching. It's been an exciting Sunday afternoon. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central. Martin Gaillard, take it away.